音楽には人種も国境も、そして宗教の違いもありません。エクスポ
Yeah, no pressure, Jack, at all after what we've seen already from the home heroes in Moto2 and in Moto3. First Australian on the front row of Phillip Island in MotoGP since Casey Stoner was recently inducted into the MotoGP Hall of Fame. That was all the way back in 2012. He has been victorious in front of his home crowd previously, Jack Miller, in the 2014 Moto3 battle. On a MotoGP podium here as well 6 years ago. In 2019, rain or shine, Jack said to Jack, he's going to be going all in, isn't he? Try and get another podium here in front of his home fans.
Starting right next to him then, the race favourite, well to many he is, Marco Bezzecchi, even though he starts with the double long lap penalty to serve. Here is the grid, as Jack informed us, everyone on the medium rear. While you look at the grid, let's head down to the grid and speak to the boss at KTM. What chance of Pedro Acosta fighting for the podium today? Aki over Jack.
Yeah, once again proved yesterday that Pedro, the toughest man to overtake on the MotoGP grid right now. Aki, the switch to the medium rear, would that help you guys today? How do you fancy your chances?
Hopefully, it has been a few times this year that we see that on Sunday with the harder rear tire. Maybe we, let's say, riders are a bit more comfortable. That at least it's not this maybe those small problems what we have sometimes with the soft. And could be that when we are a little bit in the position. But now the main point is, of course, first of all to see that if rain is coming or not, and of course, the discussions are just about this. If it's coming and what to do and all. But hopefully stay dry, and I think still the main option for everyone is hard front and medium rear for the race.
According to your information, how likely is it that this rain arrives?
If we trust our radars, it could not come anymore. You look to the sky, you cannot be sure.
Good luck at it.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks Jack, thanks to Aki. What's the famous saying in this part of the world? If you don't like the weather, just wait 10 minutes because it'll be completely different. 4 seasons in a day is how they describe the weather in Victoria. So we just saw Fabio Quartararo getting lined up for an attack from pole position. We just saw that grid graphic. You could see quite clearly Somkiat Chantra, the only outlier in terms of the tyre choice, the Thai rider. The rider's gone for the medium front. Every other rider, our current information is hard front, medium rear.
Mentioned Fabio Quartararo, not exactly pleased with his medium front tyre yesterday. He said he knew immediately that he had made the wrong call. Doesn't want to, I guess, try and compound that by making another tyre choice mistake today. But he hasn't gone for the soft rear tyre. We're expecting a slower pace, of course, than we had in the sprint yesterday. But Marco Bezzecchi surely has to go on the attack early on. He has to try and secure the lead on that first lap and try and stretch clear. With those 2 long lap penalties to serve, he's surely guaranteed to emerge from those long laps in traffic. The question is, how much?
Maverick Vinales has done it. Aleix Spargo has done it. Double winners for Aprilia in previous years. The sun going, wouldn't it, if it's a double win from a double long lap for Bezzecchi. Quartararo, mindful of the threat still posed from Bezzecchi, one of a whole bunch of riders who were asked yesterday, well, given his brilliance in the sprint, do you still see Bezzecchi as favourite for the Grand Prix? Despite the long lap visits, Fabio Quartararo, one of several contenders who said absolutely nothing to suggest that Bez will not be able to recover from the long laps, which are going to cost him anything sort of around 4 to 5 seconds. So it's a handicap and a hindrance that he certainly would have wanted. I guess from our point of view and from all of you watching at home as neutrals, it's probably the best thing that could have happened. Not for Marc Marquez, of course, as Marc recovers from a shoulder blade injury, but Marco Bezzecchi, without those 2 long laps, well, this could have been a runaway success for the Aprilia start.
In addition to the pure time loss of the long lap itself, it's whatever time he's going to lose, the traffic he then emerges into, and potentially wear to his tyres by having to push a bit harder to overtake those riders that pass him when he comes through the long lap penalty loop. A little bit of a smile on the wink there from TG Delinia, who's expecting normally victory, but I don't think he's expecting that today. Can Fabio Quartararo end his winning drive from pole position? He's speaking now to Jack.
Fabio gone to the grid with the medium rear. How difficult a decision was that? Were you tempted at all by the soft?
Yeah, let's see how what the first lap is going to be, but
Thanks, Jack. Thanks to Fabio Quartararo, winless in the last 68 Grand Prix, all the way back to the German Grand Prix at Sachsenring in 2022. Does the absence of key figures like Marquez, Martin and Vinales open the door, push it wider jar for Quartararo and co? Surely it does. The problem is, how do you stop Bezzecchi? Will the 2 long laps be the only way to stop Marco Bezzecchi in this 27-lap Grand Prix of Australia coming your way in what's about 15 minutes time? At the moment then, we're still looking at our comedy box window, and there are some rather worrying and threatening grey clouds. It is still dry. For how much longer that remains the case, well, that's anybody's guess in this part of the world.
That is a pit lane, as you can see, with Jack going through the foreground, full of spare bikes ready to be set up as Paul himself is from the grid. Chris Hemsworth, who was here yesterday, really enjoyed his first MotoGP experience, met the Aussie home hero Jack Miller, who now returns to the grid, heading across to the front row.
He's not the most famous Chris on the grid, though, is he? Chris Phillip, former Grand Prix winner, and our favourite, is doing sterling work for some of our Aussie TV colleagues down on the grid. But yeah, fantastic to see Hollywood A-lister Chris Hemsworth enjoying all the build-up to this Australian Grand Prix. And he'll certainly be hoping as well that there's going to be some home success delivered by Jack Miller. We just saw there that beautiful final race-winning trophy. Such an iconic prize to win at an iconic Grand Prix venue. It's one race that every rider wants on their CV. Of course, this man has got one on his CV in Australia, MotoGP win in that incredibly dramatic 2023 race. I moved to Saturday, of course, with concerns about the inclement weather on Sunday, and what a race it was. As Jorge Martin bolted, gambling on the soft rear tyre when he was fighting for the World Championship. What a fun that was. So close to success. 26 laps and 4 corners. Martin looked like a genius, looked like a hero, but it quickly went 2-0, and it was his then Tamak, the caddy teammate, Zarco, who came steaming on through to an unforgettable victory. The first time since Valencia 2016 we witnessed the Zarco backflip.
Some of the very best MotoGP races of all time have taken place here. 2015 battle, which of course the Custers probably never going to settle on. 2017, we also saw another epic battle at the front of the race. Will we see something similar here this afternoon? There is Chris Hemsworth with Jack Miller, 2 Aussie heroes sharing a moment together on the grid. A Hollywood superstar next to a man who will certainly earn superstar status if he can win the Australian Grand Prix.
It's like Jack's about to go a word with Chris. And we'll go immediately down to Jack and Chris at the grid.
Yeah, it's just no camera, Chris. We're on the world feed globally with MotoGP. We've just seen you embrace Jack then. I know you're a huge fan of two-wheeled motorsport. Guess you're going to be rooting for the number 43 in this one.
Absolutely. Yeah. Trying to give him some advice. Advice was don't listen to me. Have fun, go win. But it's good, mate. I grew up at Phillip Island, and interesting talking to a lot of the guys. So they say this is their favourite track out of all the place circuits around the world. But there's nothing obviously personal and nostalgic. Haven't spent a lot of time here myself. My dad used to race here many years ago. It's exciting.
In these MotoGP machines in full flight, is there anything quite like it?
Oh, not at all. But it's like the Formula One has the same sort of instant visceral effect on the body, and the bikes I feel more familiar with, and I don't know, certainly gets the blood running in intense fashion, and makes you want to get out there and have a ride yourself.
Great to see you here. Enjoy the race.
Thanks for having us. Cheers.
Yeah, great get that, Jack. Well done, mate, down on the grid. Always fantastic to see a global superstar sharing their love and affection for this great sport. Of course, he's from this part of the world, in Phillip Island, isn't he? Chris Hemsworth. Well, the advice was very simple, wasn't it, to Jack Miller? Don't listen to me, have fun and win the race. Brilliant stuff from Chris Hemsworth. Okay, then Ralph Fernandez, second in the sprint yesterday. What a day it was for Aprilia and for Trackhouse. Can they take the fight for a win here in Phillip Island? Let's get the thoughts of the boss, Davide Brivio's with Jack.
Davide, second yesterday with Marco having the long lap today, the double long lap. Does that make Raul the favourite?
No. I mean, one off, I would say. Yeah, I mean, we cannot hide ourselves. Raul here, he got the speed, he's riding well. But then, of course, you know, the race is always unpredictable. Let's see how we can start, how we can manage the tire through the race, because here in Phillip Island, it's always, you know, a thing. Of course, everybody's on a medium today compared to yesterday on a soft, so it's a different game, but tire management always plays an important role. So, yeah, I mean, we can do a good result, but okay, that's the sport. Let's see how what the sport will give us back.
Good luck today, Davide.
Thank you.
Ralph Fernandez for Trackhouse Aprilia certainly does have the potential to deliver a great result, doesn't it? Second in the sprint, leading it for the first half of it as we get ready for the pre-race grid ceremony here. Still dry. We keep looking out of our commentary box window rather nervously, just making sure there's no spots of rain. Myself and Lewis have an absolutely brilliant perch. The best commentary box position we have of the whole season. We're just on the outside of turn 4, the Miller corner, so we can see the MotoGP bikes powering through turn 3 towards the Siberian corner as well. We're going to take a very short pause then now, as it's always a very special moment as we get to hear Advance Australia Fair ahead of the 2025 Australian Grand Prix here at the fantastic Phillip Island. Johan Zarco just checking out the shaven head of Jack Miller. This is a flag-to-flag race. You know, two of the bravest and boldest in rapidly changing conditions are going to be Zarco and Miller. They have both previously won flag-to-flag battles in MotoGP. Jack Miller won a flag-to-flag battle with 2 long laps himself. That's the only time it's ever happened in Grand Prix history. Perfect timing, Marco Bezzecchi. That's the moment that he's chasing down. Never been done in a full stride Grand Prix, has it? Bezzecchi then and Ralph Fernandez, first and second in the sprint yesterday after being first and second on Friday. Can they get the job done again here this afternoon? Let's get the thoughts of the boss, Massimo Riva, who's a Jack.
Massimo, everybody I speak to says that despite the double long lap penalty, Marco's still the favourite for this one. Do you agree with them?
Oh, no, I don't. I think there is Pedro, there is, for sure there is Raul. And there are a few more riders that having too long lap penalty. I don't think it's about the 2.5 seconds roughly that you lose per lap, per penalty. But it's more about the traffic. You jump in
doing these two penalties in the first 5 laps, you will be in the middle of the group. So how much time do you can recover? That is the big question. And not doing any kind of mistake is not going to be easy. I mean, Indonesia is still in our mind quite fresh. So better not to do mistakes and get some good points.
Does Marco have a direct plan on how to tackle the double long lap penalties, or does it depend on the start?
Yes, obviously the start will be a key factor for sure.
Good luck.
The reason Jack asks that, I guess, if Marco Bezzecchi does take the lead at the start and is able to extend his advantage, he will surely wait as late as possible for serving those long lap penalties. Yes, he might have to just take a decision if he's bottled up early in the race, just get them out of the way and then chase back from further back down the order. It's going to be fascinating to see just where Bez emerges at the end of the second of his 2 long laps. He won't be able to come through there on the very first lap. He'll get the instruction on his dashboard sometime on the first lap after he's passed turn 4, and then from that point he will have 5 laps in which to serve 2 long lap penalties. The long lap penalty zone, I'm sure you're up to speed with now, but in case you're not, it is on the outside of turn 4, Miller corner.
Certainly does add an extra dynamic, an extra dimension, doesn't it, to this Australian Grand Prix. Bezzecchi clearly the fastest rider on circuit all weekend, having to do the 2 long laps. Will some rain throw another spanner in the works? Well, can you imagine if Bezzecchi has to contend with a flag-to-flag race and 2 long laps? Who knows whether the heavens will open here very, very shortly. We certainly hope they don't. Just Fermin Aldeguer, well, crashing back down to earth with a bit of a bump, wasn't he, yesterday after his brilliance in Mandalika a couple of weeks ago. Second youngest rider in MotoGP history to win in the top class. First rookie to do so since Hoy Martin in 2021. Well, unfortunately, a lot of momentum gained from Aldeguer. That runaway success in Indonesia has already sort of been sucked out of his sails after a crash at Siberia and outside of points win places yesterday in that sprint. Jack Miller then, front row of the grid for the 30th time MotoGP career. He has been here before. 30 years of age now. There's the rider from Townsville. Can he deliver a top performance to send the Aussie fans home happy? Marco Bezzecchi, all about his tactics and strategy, isn't it, in those first 5 laps where he has to do the 2 long laps. Hernandez also a big contender, no question, maybe even for the victory, depending on what happens to Bezzecchi ahead of him on that factory. Aprilia. Just some last-minute words of encouragement then for Miller.
Jack Miller, that Marco Bezzecchi is looking to for some inspiration. Jack Miller is the only rider ever in MotoGP who has served 2 long lap penalties and still won the race. He got those for speeding in the pit lane during that black-to-black race in Le Mans back in 2021. That is the only time the double long lap penalty has ever been overcome to take victory.
Pedro Costa, you know what a rocket ship off the line that KTM RC16 is. And as we saw quite brilliantly throughout the whole of the Indonesian Grand Prix on the Sunday, and then yesterday in the sprint, Pedro Acosta right now is arguably the hardest rider to overtake. He's the ultimate blocker right now. There's Acosta. He said, well, I'll just play the cards I'm dealt with. The KTM, it has strength in certain areas, and I just have to capitalise on that. Miller then, looking to be first Australian home winner in Phillip MotoGP since 2012. Casey Stone and Marco Bezzecchi looking for a double win with a double long lap, but flying away from pole position. Fabio Quartararo looking for his first victory in 3.5 years. The Yamaha star leads the field away from the front of the grid. time to find out who will be the Wizard of Oz in MotoGP in 2025. A front row featuring Fabio Quartararo chasing his first semi-class success since the Sachsenring 2022. Can Marco Bezzecchi complete a fully route of this Phillip Island battle, having been dominant from the front row to win yesterday's 13-lap sprint? And Jack Miller, with the hopes of a nation, the hopes of the Aussie motorsport fans all around this great nation, wondering if he can produce some magic here today. Miller going from his first front row start on the Pramac Yamaha. On discount Pedro Acosta from the second row of the grid. As always here in Australia, this will be a time management race. Who can manage the medium rear tyre over the full 27 laps? Are we going to get some flag-to-flag drama? Rain hanging in the air, looming large just off the coast here in Phillip Island. Riders, though, are going to be starting on Michelin slick rubber. Johan Zarco, of course, already a winner in flag-to-flag encounter, memorably so with that French Grand Prix in Le Mans as we started our European campaign. Jack Miller will just be going to Bright Running, nothing to lose. Just a quick reminder, if this is the third time you're joining us here in Australia, Marco Bezzecchi has a double long lap penalty after his controversial collision on lap 1 with newly crowned MotoGP World Champion Marc Marquez, who was unfortunately just 2 weeks after lifting the biggest prize in motorcycle racing in Motegi, was once again back under the surgeon's knife. Sadly, to his right shoulder blade will keep Marc Marquez sidelined until probably the last round of the season in Valencia, if not for the remainder of 2025. Still some good news though, beckons more. That good news, let's be honest, as far as the Marquez family are concerned. For the first time in Grand Prix history, what a story this would be, as we look to have a Marc and Alex Marquez at 1-2 in the World Championship. Alex can actually seal second place overall in the standings today, depending on what happens to back-to-back MotoGP races since Marc Marquez all the way back in 2013. That's going to be a long shot, to say the least, for Aldegar. He's going to complete lap 2 of 27, down in 10th place.
Dropped to place in the first lap, he's 15, so the indicator has now come up now. There you can see it on your screens. Bezzecchi now in the next 5 laps has to serve his double long lap penalty. He's already got probably the riders outside the top 10 with his window for the first long lap, so he can himself his first one now. He'd still be in the top 10.
That missile top speed of Espargaro's KTM RC16 just saw him blitz Marini down the Gardner Straight on the factory on, and nothing Marini could do about that as Espargaro now climbs up into 7th place. There's a bit of a gap emerging here already, isn't there, between Bezzecchi, Fernandez and Acosta, which was your top 3 at the end of playing yesterday's sprint.
The dream scenario for Bez looking to come out of his first long lap into that gap. That might be a little bit too much to ask for Bezzecchi, because he doesn't have too much time to play with. So Miller fifth from Alex Marquez. Then it is the Rocket KTM you referred to, Paul Espargaro ahead of Marini, Digia and Aldegar into the top 10.
All know this Paul Espargaro, a part-time racer, fastest TV pundit in the world, without any question. That is the Spanish rider, former Moto2 winner here, just hooking that inside line as he keeps Marini and the Gian Antonio at bay behind him.
From Bezzecchi back to Raul Fernandez then at the moment is a quarter of a second. Bagnaia just lost another place, by the way, to Bansini. This is all really turning into a rather familiar experience for Pecco Bagnaia as he starts to slip back through the order, but Bezzecchi not exactly putting the same kind of distance we expected into the rest of the field. A 28-0.
Costa, brilliant. He's got the inside line there, using every single pony underneath him there. And he had a big switch on the front and the rear, both wheels sliding almost. He went through the Durham corner. That's what happens when you're on top of the fastest motorcycle in history. Got a great drive coming out of turn 12, and he just started clicking through 4th, 5th and 6th gear. It was easy as you like to take second from Fernandez.
Surely this is exactly where Pedro Acosta would have dreamed of being at this stage of the race, because the rider ahead of him is going to take a long lap, well 2 long laps, jump out of his way. So Pedro Acosta will surely soon inherit the lead of the Grand Prix, and we know how hard he is to pass.
After 2 laps already, almost 5 seconds adrift of Bezzecchi, stuck down in a very lonely 18th place. In fact, he's lost a whole chunk of time already on this lap 3. Bagnaia now 6.2 seconds adrift of Bez, who's just trying to build at this lead, gain as big an advantage across the camp before he serves the first of those 2 long laps.
Yeah, look at this pack behind him. They're all battling back towards today. This is where Bez is going to filter back in. Then he's not going to be able to have clear top back ahead of him to try and maximise his pace between this and the second long lap penalty. 1.2 seconds is the advantage to Acosta. He's doing all he can, but he's certainly going to lose the lead when he comes through the loop.
And having built such a huge advantage, commanding lead already, how much is Bezzecchi taken out of that medium rear tyre? Again, he's in the 27s. It's electrifying, it's dynamic. Pace this by Bez, a 1:27.865. But how much is he already overcooking that medium rear tyre to get himself into this position of authority before he sweeps into the long lap for the first time? Looking at our commentary box window, we're going to pick up Bezzecchi very, very shortly through the Stoner corner. His advantage over Acosta is nigh on 1.3 seconds. Here then comes Bezzecchi. Acosta versus Fernandez behind him. This, well, no, he's not come in.
Well, he's got 5 laps to play with. He's now gone through 3 times, so we now know he's made his strategy clear to the rest of the field. I'm sure he's going to be coming through on the next 2 consecutive laps.
I do just wonder whether this real big early burst, this surge he had to make, he had no choice. His hand was enforced by the 2 long laps for the Marquez contact in Manuel last time as Fernandez has got back through on Acosta. Now this is good news as far as Aprilia are concerned, isn't it? Fernandez immediately finds a way back through on fellow Spaniard Acosta. Now they drop down through into turn 10. This is where Bezzecchi made the big mistake, one of his few mistakes in yesterday's sprint.
Quartararo's now starting to get up to speed in 4th place. He did 28.4 on the last lap, which was quicker than the 2 immediately up ahead of him, and he's got a bit of breathing space back to Jack Miller. So far on this lap, actually, Bezzecchi lost some of the advantage back to Ralph Fernandez.
The only rider in the 27th on that previous lap was Bez. He's back in the 28th. Yeah, Ralph Fernandez was faster. Ralph Fernandez getting on with this, cracking the whip, isn't he, on that Trackhouse Aprilia? 1:28 flat PB lap from Fernandez. Not a great lap for that from Acosta. And he was a lot slower than Fernandez ahead of him and slower than Quartararo, Miller and Alex Marquez behind him.
Turn 1 in the gravel trap, so and Zarco straight to the gravel trap. That will be a fast start crash at Doohan corner. So coming through Stoner corner now, a bit of a head shake there for Benz. Just to show how hard he's pushing. Surely now he's going to go straight on into the long lap penalty. Here he comes. Ralph Fernandez then takes the lead of the Australian Grand Prix. Acosta will also go through to 2nd place. Where is he relative to Quartararo? He's just ahead of it.
Second and slots back in ahead of Fabio Quartararo. Now they go through to Siberia, turn 6. So minimising the damage is Bezzecchi after his great start leading on that first lap. This is going to be a big old get off for Zarco. He's well wide. So wide. He stays committed, doesn't he, there? And that front, just look at the big dark line he leaves from that Michelin rear tyre. Ooh, that's a scary one for Zarco. Let go of it, Johan, let go of it. He finally does, bites the dust, so if there is going to be some flag-to-flag drama, John Zarco's not going to be involved in it. That's a nasty old get-off. So then here we go. Oh, Jack Miller's gone down. Jack Miller has crashed out of podium contention here in his home Grand Prix, having raised the roof to get himself on the front row here yesterday and fight for the podium in the sprint. Oh, Miller, that went flat. That was almost like a rain crash, wasn't it? Miller, that front end washed out from under Miller before he could do anything about it. Oh, Bezzecchi, big head chase from the front there as he attacked into the Doohan corner.
He still did a 1:29.9, even with the long lap vacancy. He lost 1.7 seconds to Ralph Fernandez. That's why he's been practicing that all weekend. He certainly did a fast long lap penalty, so if he loses another 2 3/4 to 2 seconds, he's going to drop back somewhere near to Gian Antonio and Thomas Spargo.
And Miller's axis doing a big favour here to Bezzecchi, because his one rider in this lead group was taken out of the equation as far as Bez is concerned. He would have had to fought his way back through shortly after the second long lap on Quartararo, Alex Marquez and Miller. Miller though down on that last lap going into Siberia. Paolo Fedora and Massimo Riva looking on from the Aprilia pit wall, just making sure that they know exactly when it'll be the optimal time for him to come in for the second long lap.
Fedora will say once more and then he'll come in, so we'll see maybe through there on the next lap, but he's not going to be in the lead of the Grand Prix when he takes the second long lap, that is for sure. So Ralph Fernandez leads from Pedro Acosta. Neither have won the MotoGP Grand Prix. Fabio Quartararo will surely soon take 3rd place. Of course, he hasn't won for 3.5 years.
Yeah, and Acosta will want this, but he was really miffed He might not have looked it, but he was inside, having seen his close, or former close pal, Fermin Aldeguer, and beat him to the top step of the podium in MotoGP last time out in Mandalay. You could just look at the drive. The ball's going to be brilliant. Managed to control. That's where the Aprilia really does excel and come into its own on those high-speed sections through Stoner Corner turn 3, through 7, 8, 9, and then 11 and 12. This is a head shake there from Quattararo, Yamaha, and 1 on that high-speed change of direction. The attack now towards the southern loop. He's doing a sterling job here, Quattararo, keeping that high-speed Ducati GP24 in the hands of Alex Marquez behind him.
Still matching Benzecchi's lap times on the last lap, so will Bez come straight on this time? He's over to the right-hand side of your picture. Here he comes into long lap penalty loop. So through goes Quattararo, through goes Alex Marquez, through goes to Gian Antonio, and Benzecchi then rejoins behind Digia in 6th place.
Now, that is a big problem. Now he has got a big task on his hands, because his immediate competition ahead of him are 2 Ducatis, which are going to be pretty tough to beat, certainly down that long garden straight, 900 metres in length. But you're going to see an Aprilia out-drag at Ducati down that start-finish straight. So Benzecchi, he's got so much time on his side. There's still got 20 laps remaining here in Phillip Island, as he slots then now back into 6th place.
So he's roughly 2.5 seconds. We can actually see it now on the left-hand side of the screen. He's 2.8 seconds off the Prix lead. That will not be easy to chase back down. And of course, he's got 5 riders up ahead of him to overtake. Behind him is the battle here for 7th place. Colin Spargaro versus Luca Brini. Pick the 9 from Birmingham again. 10th. We're not seeing any sign of coming forward progress from yet.
Well, that's the easy as you like, isn't it, for Alex Marquez, blitzing by Quattararo's factory Yamaha. He's almost stripping the paintwork off the side of that M1. No competition in terms of top speed there between Alex and Quattararo. More bother brewing here as well for Quattararo, as it's another Fabio that hones in onto his rear tyre. Now you can just see coming through the shot out of the southern loop is the 72 bike of Benzecchi. 6th place in the 1:29.9 on that last lap, which was exactly 2 seconds slower than Digia, who's now ahead of him on the road.
Well, Ralph Fernandez is sniffing the opportunity here, of course. Now Benzecchi out of the way, 2 penalties served, stuck in traffic. See it make hay while the sun is not exactly shining here in Phillip Island. Ralph Fernandez's lead is already in excess of a second over Acosta.
When was the last time we had successive victories from first-time winners in MotoGP back-to-back as Gian Antonio? What a move that is. You need some confidence to put a move on Quattararo going through turn 8. Confidence which Digia had in abundance. And now Gian Antonio from 10th on the grid drops down into turn 10. Digia upwardly mobile in this Australian Grand Prix, now in P4.
He was in the 27th last time around, but so was Ralph Fernandez, who did a 1:27.895. His best lap of the Grand Prix so far. Of course, he has led sprints before. This is the first time, really, Ralph Fernandez has led a Grand Prix. Can he handle the pressure and the weight of expectation on his shoulders now?
Second, get clear through Quattararo very quickly. Alex and Gian Antonio but takes to dragging back into contention. Trying to come a long way back here. Not close enough though, is he, to attack Quattararo into the Duran corner.
This is exactly the problem that Massimo Rubin spoke about the Czech on the grid. It's not the long laps themselves, it's the track you dig into. He's doing 28.3s now, Benzecchi. He's 4/10 a lap slower than Ralph Fernandez, the leader.
At the moment, Fernandez looks like he's having a Sunday stroll in the Aussie sunshine. Not quite as sunny as it was yesterday in the spring, but at the moment, Ralph Fernandez looking absolutely supreme at the front of this Grand Prix. Into Miller corner we go. The ball with Benzecchi. Still not able to find a way through on Quattararo. Will he try and lunge through? Going through turn 7 and 8, just as Gian Antonio did on the previous. I mean, it's lining this up. Surely it's going to be coming. No, he's not close enough. Just shows how good that move was by Digia on that previous lap, using a bit of the element of surprise to get through on Quattararo at the front net. Fernandez is about to have a lead of over 1.5 seconds here over Acosta.
I'm sure some contrasting examples of how to deal with traffic from Bez in Indonesia. Of course, made a dreadful start in the sprint, still came through to win on the final lap. Had another poor start in the Grand Prix and ran into Marc Marquez almost immediately. So he needs to be patient, but wants to win the Grand Prix. Has got an awful lot of time to play with.
Fernandez in the 27s, so we'll have to pose the question of if he's sustaining this kind of speed, how much is he taking out of his Michelin rubber underneath him as Ayagura takes 15th place, final Portugal place away from Bagnaia. Bagnaia is actually just on a 1:28.277, his best lap of the Grand Prix, which is quicker than Acosta in second. quicker than Quartararo in 5th. And that's the Marco Bezzecchi in 6th place. I mean, Bagnai's pace, just like he was in Mandalika and in yesterday's sprint, it's like a yo-yo.
So difficult to understand, isn't it? He doesn't understand it. Ducati don't understand it. I don't know what chance we've got, but he is now back into the points at the expense of Ivor. Ralph Fernandez then leads by 1.5 seconds over Acosta, by 2.6 seconds over Alex Marquez, 2.9 over Fabio Di Gianantonio. Digia and Vez perhaps be threats further down the field, but can they clear all this traffic?
Bezzecchi's got to clear Quartararo very, very soon. Perfect time to ride off board with the Italian once again. Quartararo on this occasion. Whether Quartararo might have made a little mistake on the exit of Siberia that allowed Gianantonio to power on through, because Bezzecchi now has been stuck behind the Frenchman for a good 3 or 4 laps and has not been able to make any kind of movement. Luca Marini's getting dragged back into this battle as well. Marini just set his perseverance. Somebody's crashed out. We've got somebody crashing out here. I think it might be Mir who's plummeting down the Audi S, so it's going to be another DNF to the increasing tally for Mir. It's going to be a 12th DNF of the season for Joan Mir. What a great career it's been for Mir. Alex Marquez took his ride on circuit, 127.782. Fair play to your race leader Fernandez though, as Bezzecchi finally has made his way through on Quartararo. Fernandez still in the 27s.
Alex Marquez is 2.4 seconds off the scored Bagnaia by 20 points and Bez by 12. If he could somehow get up to the lead of the race, he would achieve that.
12 DNFs and 19 Grand Prix in 2025 for Joan Mir. He is right at the top of that flash count this season with Joan Zarco, who's also gone down the road. At the complete opposite end of the scale is Marini, who missed a couple of Grand Prix after a Suzuka 8-hour testing crash. But on the number 10 bike, I hope it's not the ultimate commentator's curse. Well, Zarco and Mir have been jumping off the RC213V with a rather alarming regularity. Luca Marini still to take a tumble of his factory Honda so far in 2025. At the moment, he's applying the pressure on a fast-fading Quartararo here.
As soon as Alex Marquez set that fastest lap, he's had a scruffy lap on this one. He started the lap 3/4 of a second behind Acosta. He's now over 1 second. So the fastest lap's been followed by a poor one for Alex Marquez. He's now reversing back towards Fabio Di Gianantonio once again. That's a sad sight to see Jack Miller out of his home Grand Prix. Before you see him got the Aussie fans practice weekend, as Marini now just eases past Fabio Quartararo, who has nothing by way of defence.
Faded from pole to 7th in the sprint yesterday. That was because of an errant front tyre choice by Quartararo, as Aldeguer just tries to squeeze through at the southern loop on Paul Espargaro, who's riding out of his skin once again, isn't he? The KTM replacement rider. So Marini now up into 6th place. Quartararo from pole to 7th on Sunday, just as he did on the Saturday sprint. He's going the wrong way once again, it's Quartararo.
Battle between Aldeguer and Espargaro continues. Fermin trying to go around the outside. Very different ends of the experience spectrum, aren't they? Espargaro and Aldeguer. But Acosta's now upping his pace. He's now in the 127s on the last lap as he put Ralph Fernandez in his lead for a second and a half.
Yeah, you just wonder that's Acosta in those first 9-10 laps of the race, just being a little bit conservative and not throwing too much caution to the wind, getting back in those 27s. He might have just been thinking, well, Ralph Fernandez, if he carries on bolting at that pace, there's no way, not a chance that that rear tyre's going to hold out underneath him. Well, we'll find out, won't we, in the second half of this Grand Prix. But encouraging as far as Acosta is concerned. On previous lap, the only rider in those 27s.
See what the lap times are as they come round this time then. There's the lead through the third sector, was just under a second and a half. Alex Marquez rebounding this time and closing in. Acosta getting the 27th, as was Alex Marquez. Ralph Fernandez, though, still holding 28 flats and just keeping them at arm's length. Quartararo is unable to do anything about the riders, just queuing up behind him. Paul Espargaro now goes through, and I guess surely he's going to follow through momentarily.
Sitting up right now, fortunately, is Fabio Quartararo. This has not gone to plan A at all, has it, as far as the factory Yamaha style is concerned. Clinging on at the moment, Quartararo having started from pole position, he's going to have it all on, keep himself inside the top 10, because as you can see just behind him, Quartararo relegated to 9th, not too far behind him are Binder on the 33 KTM, with Alex Rins and Enea Bastianini also coming into contention. The Beast, he's a real conundrum, isn't he? What an enigma Enea is. A 128.015 on that last lap, his fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He worked his way through from 20th up to 12th And he's got podium paces about the beast.
Just tell him every day Sunday and he'll be absolutely fine because he seems to have great race pace, just nothing in practice nor in qualifying. We've seen nothing really by way of a counter-attack from Bezzecchi since the second long lap penalty. He can only at the moment go as fast as leader Ralph Fernandez, and he's now over 4 seconds off the lead. Half distance is now just too big a bridge for Marco Bezzecchi to climb.
There was instant regret when he had that collision with Marc Marquez, injury to the reigning world champion. And he always felt like that regret was going to carry on into this Australian Grand Prix with the double long lap penalty hanging over his head, and it does look like that's going to curtail Bez's hopes of a dream double win here. Bindon has got his way through on Quartararo. Quartararo surely very quickly is going to surrender his place inside the top 10. Just a passenger at the moment on top of that factory Yamaha, being reeled in quickly now by both Bastianini and his teammate Rins.
He's now got 29, which is Quartararo, although in fairness to him, he's watching riders brings past him on the main straight every time he comes out of turn 12. Surely the next KTM of Bastianini is going to do the same, and then all 4 KTMs will be ahead of Quartararo, so we won't see any more of the motor past.
Bagnaia, who's just done his personal best lap of the Grand Prix once again, another 128.2 from the double world champion, as Aldeguer finally picks his way through on Policho, and that's been a pretty tough ask for the Mandalika winner at the moment. Finds himself down in 7th place. Davide Previo looking on. Well, he was a race-winning team manager for Yamaha. He was a race-winning team manager for Suzuki. Is he about to be a race-winning team manager for Aprilia, a Trackhouse closed in? Well, talk about rocking the house at the moment. Ralph Fernandez, this would be some story, some success, wouldn't it, if Fernandez is able to get the job done from here?
Showing no signs of dropping off. 128, 0-1-2. The Trackhouse team will be nervously looking at his lap times every time he comes around just to see if there's any sign of any sort of drop off. Bezzecchi's now just done his personal best on a 27.8, but that at the moment is not enough to overcome the penalty of the 2 long laps.
Costa certainly can't relax in that excellent second place. Once again, he really is the only rider that can take the fight to the front of MotoGP right now on that factory KTM, isn't he? But he's got some serious trouble behind him as Alex closes in now on the brakes into the Miller corner. He goes so defensive once again, doesn't he? Pedro Acosta, they need to put a wide load sticker on the back of that KTM because he's so darn hard to overtake. He's a brilliant blocker, isn't he, at the moment, Acosta? This is not going to be an easy ride for Alex to take second.
Alex, who was one of those queuing up behind him in Indonesia, and at one point did get past him, only to lose that second place back again. So Pedro Acosta at the moment, though, don't know how he'll feel about this, because as it stands, once again, he's going to take a brave second place and watch a fellow Spaniard take his first MotoGP victory before he does.
Yeah, and now Fernandez, he's built that lead to over 2 seconds for the first time in this Grand Prix. We're looking at Ralph Fernandez and wondering if there's going to be a collapse late on, like came the way of Jorge Martin a couple of years ago. That was when Martin took a real left field gamble, putting the soft Michelin rear tyre on his Pramac Ducati at the time. You know, Fernandez, it's a level playing field really in terms of the tyre choice at the front of this Grand Prix. And Alex Marquez goes side by side against Pedro Acosta. This is going to be a game of there on the brakes into the Durham corner. Acosta just leaving it that fraction later. To be fair, he did have the inside line there, so there's very little. He put himself on the outside of Acosta. Alex could do in terms of making a move on the inside going into the Durham corner. Yeah, Grazzini racing, look on. Calma, tranquilo, Alex.
Well, this is all just playing even further into the hands of Ralph Fernandez, isn't it? And for Fabio Di Gianantonio too, behind this in 4th place. Acosta wide through Stoner corner. He's on the inside line. He's going to have to really lunge at Alex Marquez from there. But Alex is able to sweep across the front tyre of Acosta. And he's now clear into 2nd place and launches a tech off in the face of Acosta in the process.
See just behind this battle for 2nd and 3rd. Gianantonio is certainly not out of this at all. On that last lap, Digi was 4/10 faster than Acosta in that now 3rd place. Still stuck in those low 128s is Bezzecchi. Always felt there was potentially going to be him ruining that double long lap. So many people thought he could still overcome it, but this has not been the case, as he is. Acosta running wide, going through Stoner corner. So you've already taken the best out of those Michelin tyres underneath him, and that's allowed Alex into 2nd.
As it stands, he would gain 9 points on Marco Bezzecchi and 17 on Bagnaia, so that would not be quite enough to secure second in the championship today. Bezzecchi would go ahead of Bagnaia into third overall if he took the flag out now. Bezzecchi doing 28-1s, matching Gian Antonio, and Acosta in danger of plummeting into the podium battle now.
Acosta's suffering at the moment. He's almost back in the 129s for the first time in this Grand Prix. A quick look at the timing screens. Costa, the only rider slower that's already clipped through the timing screens is Lorenzo Savadori on the factory of Prix racing Jorge Martin. So it could be a real tough last 11 laps here as far as Acosta is concerned.
The MotoGP World Champions are called 12th place soon because Quartararo is now behind his fellow Yamaha teammate Rins and is reversing back towards Bagnaia. So I think Quartararo just not doing enough saving, or I think it's some of the problem with that Yamaha because he is falling quickly back down the field.
Painful experiences for Quartararo. Position to a frustrating 7th in the sprint yesterday. He blamed that on the incorrect front tyre choice. Went for the hard foot today, thinking that was going to be the option that would carry him potentially to a rare podium, but it has just not worked out at all, has it? Look at that now in P12. It's Quartararo. Well, 13th will probably be about as worse as it gets because he's about 3 seconds clear, and Morbidelli is currently in 14th at the moment. But this has not gone to script at all, has it, for Fabio Quartararo from the front of the grid?
This lap, Alex Marquez with clear tarmac ahead of him. He's chipping away a little bit on Ralph Fernandez. His pace is down to a 28.3. Alex Marquez only does a 28.2, so he barely took any time out of him at all on that last lap. So Ralph Fernandez has got 2.8 seconds to play with in the final 10 laps. So you can do the maths. He can lose just under 3 tenths a lap from there to take a first MotoGP victory. We said it was an opportunity for just about everybody coming into this Australian Grand Prix weekend. Is it Ralph Fernandez who's going to grasp that opportunity?
Second the fastest rider on the circuit, but this is surely all too little too late as far as the sprint winner is concerned. Here is Digian then now piling the pressure once again on Acosta. Acosta is going to have to perform defensive heroics just as he did last time out in Mandalika if he is to cling on to the rostrum here in Phillip Island. Just as you can see, a bit of a flop on the screens coming out of Siberia was Luca Marini on the factory Honda, looking well set before another top 6. Although Aldeguer, who just put in his PB lap of the Grand Prix, 128.090 from the Mandalika winner. So he's got ample time potentially here to get back on par with Marini's Honda.
Podium had such a prior record here. Podiums really did change his career back in 2023. A strong fourth, which was an equal best of the season last year. Can he take a second Phillip Island podium out of the last 3? He, like most, absolutely adored the Phillip Island circuit. And it's only Pedro Acosta at the moment that stands between himself and a podium. And it's Acosta's resistance about to be finally broken. No, that KTM strong enough on the run down to Newham corner.
Combo of the top speed of the KTM and some brilliant braking there by Acosta into the Durham corner is keeping him in that P3 place. 2.9 seconds or 3 seconds over the line was Fernandez's advantage over Alex Marquez. You can just see Fernandez clearing through our picture as he attacks now hard through Stoner corner, on the brakes now into the Miller corner. So many people thinking that Ralph Fernandez is pretty fortunate to still be on this MotoGP grid. Flattering to deceive so many years, struggling to unleash his full potential, which we know he's had. Still a campaign fighting for Remy Gardner, the Moto2 World Championship back in 2021. Never really worked out for him at KTM. He's had his struggles on a vastly improving Aprilia. Ralph Fernandez now is, 8.5 laps away from what would be a big shock victory. For Gian Antonio might be one corner away from the podium here in Phillip Island. He certainly is on the inside of Acosta. He goes down the hill into the first gear, turn 10. Acosta then's resistance has been futile. He's been pushed off the podium now, back into P4.
Gian Antonio getting the final corner right though, because unusually, probably didn't get it yesterday, but Stratti's were actually being beaten down the straights by KTMs and Hondas. So it's Pedro Acosta now just going to whistle straight back past Digia on the run into turn 1. Look at the 37, just pulling up alongside him. 3 lap time for Pedro Acosta, and he takes third place back again.
He's going to get that stopped if he does. That is some effort. That is some effort by Acosta. Fair play. Yeah, he's just running that little bit hot going into the Durham corner. That just put him on that slightly wrong line. So that run down to the southern loop. And that's allowed for Gian Antonio to come back through. Being a watching brief In fifth place still is Marco Bezzecchi. 2.8 seconds, still the very comfortable advantage that Ralph Fernandez has over Alex as Acosta tries to slow his front wheel going into turn 4 further down the field. Espargaro has just been bumped out the top 10 by Alex Rins.
Quicker than Acosta and quicker than Digia, but he, like Marco Bezzecchi, who we never see on our screens, seeing way too much traffic for his liking today.
Well, Aprilia won the sprint, and most likely, without the 2 long laps and Aprilia in Marco Bezzecchi's hands, we're certainly going to be a big favourite to win this Australian Grand Prix, but it's another Aprilia. The underdog in many respects, Ralph Fernandez, who surely is going to take the spoils here, unless he has his rear tyre falling off a cliff, like Martin did a couple of years ago. Bezzecchi then now, still in that 5th place, trying to pick up some slipstream, some draft behind Acosta's KTM. He's not going to be close to attack the Spaniard into the Durham corner.
He's still doing low 128. There's been next to no drop-off at all yet, and we stress yet for Fernandez. Now, the drop was expected to come on the soft rear tyre, in fairness, but they say the final 4 or 5 laps is when you're in that danger zone, when it could fall off a cliff. Just ask Jorge Martin.
Well, for the first time in 58 sprints yesterday, no Ducati featured in the top 3. Doesn't look like Ducati going to have a continuation of what's been a rather bang average weekend as far as the Bologna factory are concerned. At the moment, no risk of them missing out on a Grand Prix podium for the first time in over 4 years, as Alex Marquez and Gian Antonio look relatively safe and secure in Ps2 and 3 right now. And still doing low 128s. It's been absolutely brilliant. This has been sort of a Jorge Lorenzo style performance, hasn't it? By Ralph Fernandez. This is his 76th MotoGP start. He has never had a Sunday podium, just the 2 sprint podiums, and those 2 have come in the last fortnight. Where has this Ralph Fernandez been throughout the last 3 or 4 years? Great to see, though, him finally shining and delivering on all the promise and potential that we knew was there.
We are delighted to welcome the real fan Ralph Fernandez to MotoGP. Finally, if this is indeed what we're seeing, Pedro Acosta is about to see some more pain, I think, here. Bezzecchi, though, look how brave, look how bold Pedro Acosta is on the brakes. Was he too bold? No, he does just about get it. Stopped down into the corner, and this is going to add to the frustration of Marco Bezzecchi, who we knew from Thursday just how difficult his life was going to be today, and his fears have been realised.
Does not know when he's beating Dudley Acosta. Ultimate prize fighter. You want him in your corner, Pedro Acosta. What another brilliant performance he's producing here. Fernandez, as you can see, long gone up the road. And so he was on lap 22 of 27. How much longer can Acosta resist this slot coming from Bezzecchi? Alex Marquez, 2.9 seconds. It was never really got down under 2.8 seconds, the gap between Fernandez and Alex, as Bezzecchi goes on the inside of Acosta through turn 8. That was a real class move, that, by Bez. So that might be as good as it gets as far as the sprint winner is concerned here. He does finally pick up Acosta to take P4.
Probably in fact, Pedro Acosta, unless he has some serious time off. About 2 seconds over Marini. Ferminelli gets pace through the top. You know, last lap and a half. He's doing 29s now in 7th place. He's potentially going to reverse back towards a KTM battle between Bastianini and Binder. We're just watching him out of the window a moment ago. They were really knocking spots of each other into Miller corner.
Further down, keeping a close eye on the Quartararo and Bagnaia strap for the bottom end of the point scoring places. Gian Antonio has got great late race pace. He's proven it over the last couple of years or so. That Bagnaia has finally got through on Fabio Quartararo. So Paco Bagnaia at least is salvaging some points, and perhaps more significantly some pride and some confidence and feeling in the front end of that Ducati GP25, because he's still doing high 128s. It's been perfectly respectable pace this as far as Bagnaia is concerned.
He wants to get into the top 10 yet, Bagnaia, because he's doing high 28s. The pack ahead of him are all doing mid-20s, so there's still some points on the table here. If he wants to finish in the top 3 in the World Championship, he might need every point he can get.
Digia's taking second. I was going to say he's taking second on this lap. He takes it immediately He made that brilliant move there, did he, early on in this Grand Prix, through on Fabio Quartararo. And Digia loves that attack going through at turn 8, doesn't he? That's an absolute class maneuver, that by Gian Antonio. Is it all a little bit too late, though, as far as the victory hopes are concerned? We'll check the gap between Fernandez and the Gian Antonio when they cross the line. There'll be, what, 4 laps remaining very, very shortly. But having cleared now Alex, tricks there for Alex. Consider he's running into some late grip problems, isn't he, on that Ducati GP24. What can Digia do about a 3.1 second deficit to Ralph Fernandez? Can't see him recovering that in just 4 laps.
Big one on the rear tyre. Fernandez just telling his team, calm down, don't worry, I've got this. Or is he just stretching his fingers out? Is he just trying to fight off any kind of nerves that Ralph Fernandez must be dealing with, because there must be so much on his mind right now? Because in Moto2, he was so comfortable, so supreme when he led the Grand Prix. This is his first opportunity to demonstrate those talents in MotoGP, and he's certainly doing that.
You can understand why, perhaps, as he closed in on the biggest achievement, the biggest ever Grand Prix career, he's perhaps being a little bit tight, a little bit tense. It's so difficult to muscle a 300 horsepower MotoGP bike around this super fast Phillip Island circuit, particularly when there's some gusting breeze around as well. Really physically challenging without the wind to contend with. So that may be just giving that left arm a little bit of a breather from Ralph Fernandez.
Someone's down the Siberia up into the distance. I think it might be Pecco Bagnaia with 4 laps to go. He was salvaging some pride from this Grand Prix, but he crashes with 4 laps to go.
Well, things do just keep going from bad to worse, don't they, as far as Bagnaia is concerned. Never settled in a million years as he flicked it left into Siberia. He had just poured his way back through on Quartararo. Was the wind factor, was the fading grip, was a little bit of temperature dropping out of the front tyre, that crucial late stage, but once again, it's a forlorn Pecco Bagnaia walking away from the scene of another crash. There's been far too many of them on the front end so far in 2025. Well, Fernandez then. What a moment, what a day, beckoning for him. Alex just looks like he might be dropping back into the clutches of Bez here. Bez, this still might be on for a podium rescue after his 2 long laps.
Bez is still doing 28 zeros in 4th place. No one else is doing anything better. They're at 28.5 out there, and that's from Gian Antonio, who's breaking clear of Alex Marquez now, so there's definitely a podium. Potentially 2nd place if he can clear Alex Marquez quickly. Gian Antonio not taking much time out of Ralph Fernandez on the left hand, but 3/10 of a second. That's not going to worry track pace at this stage.
Yeah, Digia's going to give himself a right bash around the head, isn't he, after a 4th qualifying? There's been no doubt about it. If anybody had the speed, if anybody had the pace to take the fight to the Aprilias here this weekend, it was Gian Antonio. But boy, is he paying so dearly for that 10th place on the grid. Fought his way through to 5th in the sprint. Just over a 10th off the podium behind Pedro Acosta and Miller. He is going to be on the podium this afternoon, it looks like, for Gian Antonio, but could it have been better? He certainly had the pace to go with Ralph Fernandez, but just far too much to do coming from row 4.
2 more laps to go. The Trackhouse are on the verge of something quite special too here in the remaining lap and a half. But they, very new to MotoGP, looking to try and put the stars and stripes back on top in MotoGP. They are a lap and a half away from achieving with the rider who they have put so much faith in over the last year or so. Faith that not everyone felt was well placed. They are being rewarded for that faith today.
Team Roberts, I guess, probably the last time an American team was victorious in MotoGP. This is for Justin Marks and all of his connections. There's a massive time sprint between Australia and the US, but I'm sure they're all glued to their screens right now for a moment of history. Of course, they are serial winners on 4-wheel motorsport over in America, but this is the reason why they decide to take the plunge and come in and try and repeat that success on 2 wheels. And at the moment, Ralph Fernandez is getting the job. But Bezzecchi is coming down the hill into turn 10. There's nothing that Alex can do about that. Marco Bezzecchi then does indeed dive to the inside of Alex Marquez to take the final place on the podium. This has been some salvage mission by Bez.
Oh, what a world track now. The Ralph Fernandez lead has plotted on this penultimate lap. Here he comes to start the final lap. What's his advantage? Ralph Fernandez was a 1:29.187. He's got 1.8 seconds over to Gian Antonio, who took 8 tenths out of him on the last lap. Is Ralph Fernandez just managing this? He's got just over 4.5 miles to go.
Got those fingernails left right now in track house, have they? They've been looking at those timing screens and thinking, is he just managing this beautifully to the checkered flag? Marco Bezzecchi was going to be taking third place in the World Championship away, isn't he, from Pecco Bagnaia at the moment. Another real poor day at the office, a poor weekend as far as Bagnaia is concerned, surrendering third in the standings as well. Down to 1.6 seconds is the gap between Fernandez and Digia. If you're rider of the race, there's a few contenders. Surely your vote's going to be going to potentially our race winner here. Davide Brivio, he's been in this position so many times, hasn't he? With Yamaha, with Suzuki, and with a third manufacturer at Aprilia. Yeah, this is just in his hands now. 1.7 seconds clear. He is of Digia.
3 more corners to go. Downhill into MG. He'll go left through 11 and left through 12. There are a few better places than Phillip Island to take any MotoGP victory, but the first MotoGP victory always the most special, and Ralph Fernandez can reach out and touch it.
After Fermin Aldeguer took his first MotoGP success last time out in Manlica, we have another first-time winner in MotoGP, and it is the phenomenal Ralph Fernandez in Phillip Island, who wins the Australian Grand Prix for Trackhouse Aprilia. What a moment for Fernandez, what a moment for the American team as they take their first ever MotoGP victory. Gian Antonio fights his way through from 10th up into second place. Marco Bezzecchi with a late rally after his 2 long laps does indeed rescue a podium in third. Alex Marquez is fourth. Acosta fifth over line. Marini back inside the top 6. Top 10 to Rins, Binder, Tini and Thomas Spargaro. Points for Quattro, Oliveira, Agura, Aldeguer and Morbidelli. But Raul Fernandez, in back-to-back races then in 2025, we have first-time winners. Brilliant for the Aprilia rider. What a weekend it has been for the Nawali factory. Fernandez, Marco Bezzecchi, top 2 on Friday, top 2 in the sprint on Saturday, and now first and third here in that Grand Prix. It's just about going to start to sink in, isn't it? As far as Ralph Fernandez is concerned, he's had some fierce criticism for underperforming for so much of his MotoGP career. It's taken him until start number 76 to score a podium, and let alone a victory in MotoGP. But here he is then now, our newest MotoGP victor, and he did it in dominant style. Wow, Fernandez, take a bow here in Phillip Island.
When he moved up to MotoGP in 2022, he was picked as an incredible talent. He matched and beat some of Marc Marquez's Moto2 records as a rookie in that class, and that is not achieved easily. But in MotoGP, it has been a bit of a rocky road to this point. Davide Brivio, who can spot a talent, of course, he brought Joan Mir into MotoGP, and on the way to MotoGP title glory, placed his faith in Raul Fernandez. And Raul Fernandez can now turn around to all of his critics and put the finger to his lips and say, I am a MotoGP winner.
What a rally, what a performance by Bez. Just as he was in the sprint yesterday, 2 Aprilias. An under-strength Aprilia effort here this weekend, of course, with no Jorge Martin. Fernandez then, the Vale Syrian Phillip Island, becoming the 38th winner in the modern MotoGP 4-stroke era, 124th winner in Premier Class history, our 7th different winner of 2025. What a moment this will be. I'm sure he's going to be incredibly emotional. Ralph Fernandez, Trackhouse and Aprilia have stood by their man, and they have been given the biggest prize. This is going to be super special, isn't it, for all of the connections to Trackhouse.
So the 5th different winner in the last 5 Grand Prix. Marc Marquez in Hungary, Alex in Barcelona. Lots we saw Palmer and Mazzano. Eko Bagnaia, of course, taking the victory in Japan. Indonesia went the way of Fermin Aldeguer. And Ralph Fernandez victorious today. And it's his brother Adrian is sure to be part of the celebration. That's the Leopard team, of course, that Ralph Fernandez spent so much time with, of course, with his younger brother Adrian riding for that team. It's today, though, Raul who gets to make his way into part of Ferme. He stands aboard his Aprilia. Davide Brivio has put so much faith in him. His faith is rewarded. He's now talking to Jack.
Yeah, he's just run off just to give his congratulations to Ayagula for his efforts. Just going to see how long. In fact, come back to me in 30 seconds, guys.
He certainly will do, Jack. Davide Brivio is not going to get away with a winning interview. It's Ralph Fernandez then embraces his Trackhouse team. Absolutely, what a day to remember for the Spanish one. Let's go and hear the thoughts of the boss, Davide Brivio, with Jack.
Well, Davide, so many people for so long wanted to write off Raul, but you guys continued to believe in him. He's now a MotoGP race winner.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it. He did great today. He rode leading the race. Of course, he's an expert rider, but he has done it already. What to say? It couldn't be better today. So, all congratulations to Raul. Congratulations. Thank you.
Dreams do come true. Never doubt yourself. Keep pushing yourself. Keep making all the sacrifices. Block out some of the criticism, because better days are always around the corner, and none better than today as far as Raul Fernandez is concerned. First time we have two Aprilias on a Grand Prix podium since the 2023 Catalan Grand Prix. What a day that was, as Aleix Espargaro led home Maverick Vinales. Would the tail of the tape been slightly different without Marco Bezzecchi's 2 long laps? Well, that's all this, but what's a maybe. Let's take nothing away from our Australian Grand Prix winner in 2025. The fantastic Ralph Fernandez.
Those 2 long lap penalties are not Ralph Fernandez's fault there. Marco Bezzecchi's, who did a great job, in fairness to him, to make up for that, taking a podium in the end. Another lap or two, it might have been second. And 4th for Alex Marquez, who will have to wait probably another 6 days to secure second place in the championship. Marco Bezzecchi keeps that going on at least another week. But we can now surely say that the Marquez Brotherly 1-2 is just one more race away from being completed.
Another dire day for Pecco Bagnaia. His late crash out of top 10 contention, and Marco Bezzecchi's brilliant charge to the podium. Steve Bez finally wrestle top 3 in the championship away from Italian. Stands with the Hollywood A-lister. He's been spending so much time with the VR46 racing team this weekend. He's brought a bit of a podium touch to Valentino Rossi's pit box, because Fabio the Gian Antonio, boy does he love Phillip Island after what was effectively a career-saving podium here back in 2023. He's done the business again. Trackhouse Aprilia, don't think they can quite believe it, can they? St. Hemsworth there, just having a chat to Pablo Nieto. Yeah, the Green Ranger of the VR46 racing team boss, Paolo Bonora, was such a key figure behind the scenes. Aprilia comes to congratulate Ralph Fernandez. Brilliant scenes, really wonderful scenes to see a rider fulfill a dream, fulfill a lifelong goal, and to take their first success in MotoGP. What a weekend it's been for Aprilia.
Their trade for the Trackhouse team, welcome to the house. Phillip Island is now their house.
Putting a strong case to be known with that accolade as the Aussie fans make their way to the podium celebrations, as they will savour, offer their adulation to a first-time winner, Ralph Fernandez. 1.4 seconds he was clear of Fabio Di Gian Antonio at the checkered flag. Looking forward to hearing our top 3 very, very shortly. Then have a little post-race natter with Jack down in Parfum. And let's hear from Marco Bezzecchi that he led early on, had to serve the 2 long laps, but still salvaged a brilliant podium. He's now third in the World Championship. Bez with Jack.
Marco, once again, you had to fight today. That long lap penalty, the double long lap penalty, was always going to make things difficult. Just how deep did you have to dig to get onto the podium?
Yeah, it was a super tough race because, of course, with the penalty was everything more complicated. But my strategy worked perfectly because I wanted to make the perfect start and try to push at the beginning. And I had a bit of gap when I made the penalty, so super happy. I didn't imagine to catch a podium with the penalty, so very happy. I'm super grateful to my team, to all Aprilia Factory, also the Riders Academy, Vale, and all the staff, because they are always close to me. And now it's time to recover a bit physically for Malaysia.
Great job, well done.
Thank you.
Asia in just 5 days' time. That's another brilliant performance, isn't it? By the Italian. That is his 40th career podium finish, his 16th MotoGP World Championship, and that actually now does. We just listen to Bellissimo and Grandissimo. The congratulations to Marco Bezzecchi's brilliant late charge. I make that Bez's podium finish of the season, which is now a new record from an Aprilia rider. No Aprilia rider has ever taken that amount of podiums in a MotoGP campaign. It shows the outstanding job that Bez has been doing. Certainly over the last few Grand Prix, his last 8 finishes, all top 5s. Fabio the Gianantonio's love affair, though, with Phillip Island continues. An excellent second for the Ducati star, and he's with Jack.
Well, Fabio, it's been a roller coaster, up and down season, but once again, you come to Phillip Island and magic happens. You must love this place.
It's amazing. A part of racing is a fantastic island, so whenever we come here, it's just a magical weekend. And yeah, for sure, when you do races like this, it's even more sweet. You know, it's been a great race. Definitely, maybe the biggest bittersweet of my career, because we had the potential. We just ruined the opportunity to win for the qualifying. But a part of this racing today was amazing. A lot of overtakes, great pace. I was trying to catch the wall, but it was really far. So happy for me, for the team. We keep going. We never give up. Even as roller coaster season, we always try to keep up.
Super ride. Well done.
Yeah, cracking ride that once again in front of the Australian fans for Fabio Di Gianantonio. Just his 3rd Grand Prix podium of the season. His last, of course, was a special one as well, in front of his home crowd in Mugello. Never an easy proposition to find your way through on Pedro Acosta. He's fighting for the top 3 on a KTM. He does it. Maybe he's a bit of a lucky charm, isn't he, Chris Hemsworth? Going to pay for a flight for the star of Thor to maybe come to the Sepang Grand Prix next weekend. We're going to hear from, I'm sure, very emotional Ralph Fernandez, a first-time MotoGP winner. What a place to do as well, right here in Phillip Island. Your MotoGP winner then in the Australian Grand Prix of 2025, a first-time winner, Ralph Fernandez with Jack.
Oh, what a journey it's been for you in MotoGP. Doubted by so many, but you've silenced the critics today. You are a MotoGP race winner. How good does that sound?
I cannot believe it. Sorry, but I cannot believe it. I've been after a long time. We found something. All the team always believed me. They never stopped to support me. So this is the consequence of hard work. So thanks to them. Of course, we make a really good pace. I try to manage until the end. We know that in this kind of track, you need to manage very well the rear tire, and I try to make, because at the end, we know that it was very difficult to manage, and it is what I did. Just especially the last 5 laps was super long race for me. So, but anyway, thanks to my team, thanks to my family, they always support me. So thanks to them.
Huge congratulations.
Thank you.
Those last 5 laps probably felt like 5 years for Ralph Fernandez, but he has finally done it. This is that special moment which you could never take away from him. Winning a MotoGP race for the very first time at one of our most iconic and classic venues. Mrs. Crucial on the left there, Noe Herrera. Davide's Rubio there, offering a round of applause as Trackhouse are MotoGP winners for the very first time. Valencia, all the way back in 2021 in Moto2 was the last time Ralph Fernandez would have heard the Spanish national anthem after a victory for the Spanish rider. 11th win of his career, but this, the biggest of them all, his first in MotoGP, first at the Trackhouse. Just the 6th, 7th win in MotoGP for Aprilia. Marco Bezzecchi, Spargaro, Maverick Vinales, previous winners for the Noali factory. Now we can add Ralph Fernandez to that roster.
Going to win Grand Prix. That's how to win it. From the front, no one ever really put him under any kind of threat. As soon as Marco Bezzecchi had served his first long lap penalty, the pack was clear for Ralph Fernandez to motor clear at the front of the race. What a result for Raul, what a result for Trackhouse, and you have to say, from Ralph Fernandez's point of view, that was no fluke, as he completes the clean sweep for every team now, as you can see in MotoGP. They have all now won a MotoGP Grand Prix, with the newest team in MotoGP, Trackhouse, joining the rest. All 11 teams now in MotoGP are Grand Prix winners.
Going to be some party in the house later on as far as Trackhouse are concerned, isn't there? As we get set for the podium celebrations. It's been a pretty windy and wild day here in Phillip Island. As always, we've been treated to some spectacular action. I know from the rather cool and chilly breeze of Phillip Island to Sepang, the heat and humidity once again. There are some Miller fans who unfortunately didn't get to see the home hero sustain his fight for the podium after an early crash at Siberia when he was well locked inside that top 6. We'll take a pause and listen to the thoughts of the top 3.
Bravo Tio, come contare questa, sai? Com'è lì?
Parlava che arriviamo di te.
Sto spingendo.
Sei sempre Dio alla fine.
E... come per le gomme. Inizio. Però dai
una
fuori.
partenza. Addio.
Ma l'anno scorso la 1 andavi tipo un metro largo così. C'erano le buche?
No.
Non c'erano.
No,
Oppure niente.
Sì, alla 1.
L'anno scorso.
Credo sì.
O alla 2 te vedi.
Quanti?
Che ora mai.
Non mi fasti negare di più?
Eccomi.
Uguale ti sembrano forti. Il podio col tuo club. Ma questa mattina il vento non c'era praticamente.
Comunque se non giri col vento non è girare a Phillip Island.
Sì.
Venerdì e sabato non era.
No, vento e gabbiani nella moto.
Io ieri.
Ieri l'hai preso pieno, ma è
Mi erano arrivati i petti nel collo per 3 giri.
Sì, sì. Poi ieri alla fine, io qua, arrivando alla 10.
E quanti? Io pensavo di rompere le scatole. Ah, anche te le posso dire.
Ma io quando ti arrivavo a te, il momento che ti prendo, passo.
Ok.
E allora vai, passo io, mi avvicinavo, stavi.
Perché l'upgrade
Dopo
abbiamo
in
messo
realtà
qui.
qua io ho perso un po' più tempo, te già eri andato. E io ho detto, posso fare quarto. Quando ho spinto per andare via Costa ho visto che prendevo. Ho detto, cerchiamo di
Perino,
puro vicino.
Ho montato i specchietti sta gara per quello che ti staccavo un pezzo. Update 26 secondi. Bello. Prima vittoria, no? Prima quella
Sì.
grande.
Primo podium dopo 3 anni.
Sì. Però sprint le fatte. Gara lunga no.
Bello.
Mamma mia, sono a pezzi, eh. Questa mattina mi è salita la febbre, sono a pezzi. Si può fare.
So our top 3 then have processed that dramatic Phillip Island Grand Prix here in Australia. And now it's time for the podium celebrations as we herald once again a first-time winner in MotoGP in 2025.
Here's Davide Rubio, who put his faith in Ralph Fernandez, who takes his place on the podium. Wins in MotoGP. Marco Bezzecchi, superb ride. What a comeback for him. The 2 long laps were just too much. Davide Gianantonio second, Phillip Island podium out in the last 3. The 3rd of the season. With your star today, representing the stars stripes of the United States and Trackhouse. He lets the emotion out. Raul Fernandez, a day that he thought may never come at times. When he was jettisoned from through KTM in MotoGP, he found a new home at RNF, which of course then became Trackhouse under new American ownership, and he has shone today. Congratulations then to Davide Rubio. Trackhouse take their first MotoGP victory. Nice to take it to third for Marco Bezzecchi, which takes it to 3rd in the World Championship too now. 8 points ahead of Pecco Bagnaia with 3 Grand Prix to go. He must have known even before he came here that some penalty was coming his way. So to take a podium regardless is some effort. The chairman of the AGPC will present second place over to Fabio Di Gianantonio, who takes a round of applause from Thor himself. The superhero from a Trackhouse point of view today was Raul Fernandez. Doubted for so long, but doubted no more. Raul Fernandez, today is your day. A MotoGP winner at last.
Great day for Trackhouse, a great day for Aprilia, and a monumental day for Raul Fernandez. For the first time in his MotoGP career, the 24-year-old Spaniard celebrates from the top step of the podium. And quite right so as well. Fans watching all around the world at home and voting Fernandez your rider of the race. One of the easier decisions of the season to make, I'm sure. Surely and richly deserved accolade for Fernandez. Is he going to do the shoey on the Aussie podium? I think he is. Here we go. Oh, we're going to get a triple shoey here. I think Di Gianantonio is certainly getting in on the apps. Marco Bezzecchi likewise. Well, I'm sure they'd have preferred Jack Miller to be part of these celebrations, but nevertheless, the Australian fans once again showing their utmost respect for our top 3 here in Phillip Island. Digia egging on the crowd as he takes a big pull from Prosecco out of his rather sweaty boots. A bit more in there than that, man. Oh, come on. Load it up. Come on, load it up. Yeah, first time for Valencia 2021. He's had that winning feeling. He was back in his Moto 2 days. Marco Bezzecchi, great recovery, great ride by Bez. I'm sure there's going to be a little tinge of regret that the 2 long laps arguably cost him the chance to double up here in Australia. Lucky fans. Some prize. Who's got the boot? We'll let them, we'll let them top it out, shall we, down on the grid. Some special souvenirs getting flung into the crowd here on the Gardner Straight. Again, thanks to the Australian fans who, here in their numbers at one of the most iconic Grand Prix venues. We don't always get too many favours from the weather. Fans once again out in force, rain, shine, wind, whatever. But that's the bit more like. You take a proper big well, Australian Grand Prix winner then. Backhouse at Prix, Raul Fernandez. Not too many on RSGP have gone before him. Spargaro, Vinales, Marco Bezzecchi stand alongside him on the podium. Some weekend that for Aprilia. First and second in the sprint, double podium in the Grand Prix. Massimo Rivola, didn't he say that immediately after the Mandalika Grand Prix last time out, that they do genuinely think he can take the fight to Ducati and Marc Marquez in the 2026 World Championship. Will be in the pudding. Time will tell on that particular prediction. We will depart this spectacular coastal location of Phillip Island after the heat and humidity of Mandalika a couple of weeks ago. Oh, we've been at the back of the shorts and t-shirts in just a few time. Shed the layers. As some Trackhouse members shed some tears after Raul Fernandez celebrates his first ever MotoGP victory. Never really looked in any serious doubt, did it, once Marco Bezzecchi to come in for the first of his 2 long laps. Looking forward to asking him afterwards just what it was all about, shaking that left hand down the Gardner Straight at one stage. He's just getting a little bit tense. We know how tough it is to tackle Phillip Island in the windy conditions on a MotoGP bike. But there goes the boot after Raul Fernandez put the boot into the opposition here in Australia. Well, our Asia Pacific tour, it's been an intense one as well, hasn't it? 4 overseas Grand Prix in the space of 5 weeks. The last one of the best before we head back to Europe for the season finale in Portimao and Valencia. Join us for the Grand Prix of Malaysia at the spectacular Sepang International Circuit.
Fernandez will head there as a MotoGP winner. Extraordinary to say that, but thoroughly deserved. Raul Fernandez, your winner, from Fabio Di Gianantonio. Marco Bezzecchi from 2 long laps recovered to 3rd. Alex Marquez 4th, which puts him on the front now of the runner-up spot in the championship. Acosta 5th, and Marini wins the first. Yamaha holding 7th after Quattararo's collapse. Binder 8th from Bastianini. Paul Espargaro, the pole sitter, fell back to 11th ahead of Miguel Oliveira. Ayagura, Fermin Aldeguer, he plummeted to 14th later on, with Frankie Morbidelli taking the final point. Pecco Bagnaia was on course to potentially finish as high as 10th, but he crashed with 4 to go. Marc Marquez, of course, the champion. Alex Marquez on the brink now, finishing runner-up. Just needs a handful of points, which you can, of course, take in the sprint on Saturday in Malaysia. Secure the remote spot. Marco Bezzecchi takes over 3rd place after Bagnaia's late crash. Raul Fernandez, after his victory, vaults himself into the top 10 in the championship. Constructors champions, Aprilia Tops finishing 2nd, certainly boosted today by Raul Fernandez's victory. Ducati Lenovo, of course, are the team's champions. Grassini set to finish 2nd. PR46 in a comfortable Trackhouse. They leave up to 7th now. Rider standings, well, Alex Marquez going to wrap this one up, of course, next time out in Malaysia. Di Gianantonio back into 2nd overall. Of course, Alex has already done that. It was the team that could secure the independent crown this weekend. Rossini, after the result of the sprint yesterday, were unable to do that. That will surely come this weekend. Some highlights there. Fabio Quattararo might not enjoy watching these after a tough afternoon from pole position. For 20, was off the line where he lost a lot of his places. Falling out to 4th on the first lap. Bezzecchi certainly completed objective number 1 with the 2 long lap penalties to come, taking the lead on lap 1. Costa attacking Raul Fernandez in those early stages in the battle behind Bez for second place. He was taking the first of his 2 long lap penalties, but Raul Fernandez seized the lead, taking the inside into Stoner and able to sweep around the outside of Acosta. That was the move that ultimately secured Raul Fernandez MotoGP glory. So Bezzecchi rejoined his first long lap in 3rd. He would then come out of his 2nd long lap penalty down in 6th place with too much traffic between himself and the front of the race. Costa giving it plenty to try and stay in the podium hunt. The Blues 3rd place though at this stage to Alex Marquez. It's Fabio Di Gianantonio and latterly Marco Bezzecchi. So, dive through. Bezzecchi holding an incredible pace in the last stages as he first put the Costa, set his sights on Alex Marquez up ahead, who was about to lose 2nd place to Fabio Di Gianantonio. Beautiful move through the H-shed. Bagnaia was salvaging some pride as he chased the top 10, but he crashed out moments after passing Quartararo for 12th. 3 laps to go. Bezzecchi returned to the podium positions once more, climbing through on Alex Marquez. But in serene isolation at the front was Raul Fernandez, who from the moment Bez took his long lap penalties was never headed. Trackhouse join every other team in MotoGP. All 11 have now won. Raul Fernandez heads to Sepang as a MotoGP winner. We will see you in Malaysia in just 5 days' time.
Super Saturday's been in Austin. That man producing another superhero performance here this afternoon. It is showtime at the Horsepower Rodeo. Hector Acosta has made a sensational start in the middle of that front row. Powerfully barred by Bagnaia. But it is Acosta that leads. Team his way through on an air Bastianini. Marc Marquez no way through on Jack Miller. Finding on the two on his factory Ducati teammate Bastianini. Coming for the front. Martin's not going to make that work. On the back look on Pedro Acosta. Oh no, Marquez. I think Marquez lost Romero. So now Martin's tried this move. Big tricks out on the front. Marquez. Oh, he's almost into the back of Martin. That's going to allow Marquez to slip on the inside of Pedro Acosta.
Bagnaia now takes 3rd place from Pedro Acosta.
Here comes Marquez, so close. Contact. The move didn't pay off, and he drops back to fourth. This is MotoGP at its very best, isn't it, here in Kota? Costa trying to dish out some more payback on Bagnaia.
Marquez now through into the podium position.
Ethan Vinales leading on the inside of Jack Miller, and it's getting better and better.
Maverick Vinales, I guess, will still believe he can win this race. He's actually overtaking the reigning world champion there. And Maverick Vinales up into fourth place. You can see it comes Pedro Acosta, who wants the lead of the Grand Prix back, and he just muscles Martin aside. Pedro Acosta regains the lead in Austin.
Here comes Marquez on the inside of Pedro Acosta. Marquez hits the front for the first time in his Ducati career. It's got the Marquez, and he flashes out of the lead at turn number 11. And now Maverick Vinales does find safe passage through on Jorge Martin in the final corner. Wow, this has been the race of the season by a mile. That's Gini trying to go full send on the inside of Bagnaia. With 7.5 laps to go, what can Vinales do?
Vinales takes the lead.
It's unbeatable.
Throw the ball over the World Championship leader.
That's Gini on the red paint on the outside. It's magnificent, magic Maverick Vinales. He completes the treble in Texas. The first rider to win 3 MotoGP races for 3 different manufacturers. A supersonic performance by Maverick Vinales. How much more drama? How much a story. Jorge Martin has already taken the checker flag as he makes it 12 successive sprint podiums.
This is MotoGP. This is the Spanish Grand Prix. Jorge Martin, your World Championship leader, claims that victory. Marc Marquez is out for revenge this afternoon.
Nation await. GP here in Spain. Marquez has nailed the start from pole position. Jorge Martin moved on the inside of Marco Bezzecchi. But it's Marc Marquez that leads his home Grand Prix. How far back goes Paco Bagnaia? How did he get that stop? Bagnaia means business. He got the inside line though through on Marc Marquez. Paco Bagnaia, she leads at the end of an incredible first lap.
Marc Marquez is fighting straight back into top of the ball. Martin's going to take advantage.
Marquez back in third. It's Bagnaia that leads. Sideways goes Bagnaia, he's made a mistake. Martin and Marquez. Oh, now Bagnaia side by side with Marquez. Bagnaia now in second. Martin then does hit the front. Second on the inside and Marquez. The boss looking very happy.
Yeah, I did that mistake in corner 6. I didn't expect to crash at that point. Complicated to understand why I crashed.
Oh, and Martin crashes out at turn 6. He crashes out of the lead here in Jerez. Another gift back present to Paco Bagnaia here in Spain. Will stay on board with the 93. On the inside he goes. And start now the attack for Bagnaia. This is the moment, here he comes into the asphalt corner. Marquez leads the Spanish Grand Prix. Bagnaia.
The flag after an incredible, momentous Australian Grand Prix. Welcome to After the Flag. Phillip and Jack Appleyard with you. Now, behind the camera, there's a slogan around this Phillip Island circuit. It says the roar of the island. Today, it was the roar of Raul. Raul Fernandez is a MotoGP winner. Words that precious few thought they'd be saying coming here this weekend. But in form, Raul Fernandez after Indonesia, second in the sprint yesterday. One thing we can say for certain, Jack, is this victory was no fluke.
No, he won the race comfortably in the end. Yes, Marco Bezzecchi's double long lap penalty cost him the chance of winning today, but when you're in the lead for so many laps, when you're edging ever nearer to a debut MotoGP victory, there are so many things that can go through your head, especially around a circuit like this where tyre conservation, fuel conservation is so important. And you say those words are what so few people thought they would say this weekend. I think those words are what so few people thought they would ever say, because Raul Fernandez, as I put to him in Parc Ferme, he's been denied, he has been doubted by so many ever since he stepped up to MotoGP, but finally, at long last, the potential, the talent that I think we all knew was there, because you don't break Marc Marquez records in Moto2 by fluke. Is finally starting to come to fruition, and what a day for Aprilia as well. What a weekend for Aprilia. The fact that they've managed to get two motorcycles on the podium in both the sprint and the Grand Prix. I think Bertie said it in commentary. We've been saying it all weekend long. We've been saying it for the past few Grand Prix. We can safely say, for the first time in a very long time, Ducati don't have the best bike on the grid.
So we'll cover Ducati as we go through the show. Stories surrounding the various Ducati riders, of which we did see one on the podium today, Fabio Gian Antonio, who we'll hear from shortly. As you say, Raul Fernandez was criticised. There's no question about that. Criticised potentially for his attitude at times in the early stages of his MotoGP career, perhaps a lack of maturity in his Tech 3 days. And we were waiting for him to truly ignite on an Aprilia with first RNF, then Trackhouse, was led a sprint last season in Barcelona. That was something of a false dawn. But we've now seen over consecutive Grand Prix weekends a very, very valuable and well-earned podium in the sprint. Last time out in Indonesia. And it took a brilliant Marco Bezzecchi to beat him even yesterday. And it was clear that as much as we thought Bezzecchi had the pace to overcome the double long laps, that Raul Fernandez pace never dropped.
No, he's clicked. He's finally clicked with the MotoGP machine. And you say there was some immaturity there at first. It took him a while to find the right training regime to make sure he was prepared for MotoGP racing. He's gone through a number of personal trainers. He's changed how he prepares for Grand Prix motorcycle racing. It feels like every 6 months. The team around him has changed so frequently as well, whether it was his personal assistant, his personal trainer. It seemed like it was in constant evolution, and as a result of that, off the track uncertainty it allowed then the performances not to come on track because he didn't have any stability behind the scenes. But this year, he's finally managed to find a working environment where he's happy. Noe Herrera is crew chief, of course, he worked with him in his Moto2 days. And Davide Brivio, again, he's able to unlock that talent out to the very best in MotoGP. And as you say, his rhythm, his pace today was superb. When he had to put the lap times in, he had to dip into the 27s, he did. And I think all of us were watching the timing screens, and given how his career has gone in MotoGP so far, I think there were some of us that were fearful that maybe he could have burned up that rear tyre in the early stages and he wouldn't be able to continue that advantage through to the end of the race. But you have to say, it was the perfect race. He had built up the advantage, and yes, the tyre dropped at the end, but that advantage he built up was enough to see him come across the line a comfortable victor.
The big story pre-race, of course, was the double long lap penalty that Marco Bezzecchi had coming into the Grand Prix. And Massimo Rivola said something very, I think, sage and very important to you before the race. It wasn't so much the time serving the penalties that was the problem, it was the traffic after serving it.
Yeah, getting back through was always going to be the issue. We saw it with Alex Marquez in Austria earlier in the year. It went perfectly for Bezzecchi. If he could have planned out the race, it would have happened exactly like that. Get the whole shot, put in as many fast laps as he possibly can to build up that advantage. But the issue was, it is tough to pass on these MotoGP machines nowadays, and his advantage today with the move back to the slightly harder medium rear tyre was nowhere near as large as what it was on the soft yesterday, and he wasn't able to extract enough to be able to take victory. But still, a great fight from Bezzecchi to come through to take third spot. Important points in the championship. You feel now with 3 to go that third in the World Championship, which he has now taken, is surely going to be his.
He's 8 points now ahead of Pecco Bagnaia. Give it another lap or two. He might have taken second today and made it in a 3-1-2. Second, though, went to Fabio Di Gianantonio, whose love affair with Phillip Island continues. Here he is, speaking of that birth.
Yeah, well, it's fair to say Fabio Di Gianantonio's love affair with Phillip Island continues after your first MotoGP podium here a couple of years ago. Fabio, you're back on that special top 3 here once again. It was always going to be a tough battle coming from the fourth row of the grid in 10th. You got so close to the podium in yesterday's sprint. Today you did it. Must make you proud with that recovery.
Of my team, because they worked so hard that they gave me an amazing bike all the weekend. I was quite upset yesterday after qualifying because for some reasons out of our control, we lost the opportunity to start on the front. So we thought that our chances to make a podium or win were gone. But then it was not, because I did an amazing start, I did amazing overtakes, really thanks to the bike and the team. And then, yeah, it's a bittersweet feeling, because maybe starting from the front could be a chance for us to fight with Raul. But it's okay, we have to take what is it. And happy also because I'm sick since yesterday night. So it is a double victory, let's say, for us.
I think what's been the problem?
Sick physically.
That's what I mean, like just not what's been the issue?
Fever and these things, so okay. My energy is really low. Like I started in the race, and after third, fourth lap I was stuck a little bit in the pack because I was like, all the 20 laps to go.
Talk us through, I mean, you made some incredible overtakes. One of the special ones was on Fabio Quartararo, going through, I think, the right-hander of turn 8. That's a brave, that's a bold move there, Fabio. You obviously had a lot of confidence in that part of the track.
Yeah. If you remember, also 2 years ago I was doing quite a lot of overtakes there, and yeah, it's a corner that I really love. When you are enjoying with the bike, the pace, the track, everything comes easier, and sometimes you even don't understand really and don't realize what you are doing. Yeah, I saw a little bit the lights, and overtakes are really nice.
You've had to wait a long time for this podium. Obviously, your last one was in Mugello, a special one, that one in front of your home crowd. We've talked about this so often this year. It's been an up and down season for some of the guys on the Ducati GP25. Do you finally feel like you found a good balance with the bike, and with these last 3 Grand Prix to come, you can be in this position again?
That's the goal for sure, but I don't want to say because honestly I don't know, because we've seen that the consistency of the bike is really up and down. We really don't know. It's true that since Mugello we had a lot of chances to make great results, like in Taxering I was second, in Hungary I think we could fight for the podium again, and then we got an issue. So we had a lot of times where we could do another podium, then for many reasons it didn't happen. So I want to be with the feet on the ground, work, take the bike that I have on the next race, and just give the max, and then we will see at the end of the year.
Up and down, but today, thankfully, it was very much up. Awesome job. Well done, Fabio. Great to see you back on the podium.
Yeah, many congratulations to Fabio Di Gianantonio, but the biggest congratulations of all goes to Davide Brivio and the Trackhouse team. Many congratulations from all of us. Some of the emotions of not just how big a day this is for Raul, but also for Trackhouse.
Yeah, of course, you know, Trackhouse, we are a new team. We only came last year, and also we are an independent team, but we have a great support from Aprilia, but also, I mean, today, big congratulations to Raul for the job he has done, the way he managed the race. Leading is not easy, not to stay in the lead. We had to manage the tire because we knew that the end of the race would have been difficult. I keep a constant pace, so I'm very happy that we have seen Raul on this way.
Let's see. You mentioned new team, only what, 18 months into this project, the new American owners. Just how difficult has it been to start from scratch and get to this point today where the team are a MotoGP race winner?
Yeah, in reality, okay, we didn't start really from scratch, to be honest, because that was the RNF team. Of course, with Trackhouse, a new management, American company, we try to let's say, put our vision into the project to be, the idea is to try to challenge, first of all, the other independent team, challenge the factory team, and then these results give us also more motivation to go to this let's say, to this target, no, to this ambition. And yeah, we have a great support from Trackhouse, from Justin, and you know, I'm also happy we won because we won 5 races in the NASCAR championship. We needed to do something also in the MotoGP, and we felt the pressure. And here we are, and we done, so I'm very happy.
Just talk about Raul's journey, because he has been through hell and back in MotoGP, because he's been doubted so often, criticised so often. I don't think there were many people that felt that potential we saw in Moto2 was ever going to be seen in MotoGP. How did you keep him believing that today was good?
Yeah, simply, I mean, there's no question that he has a great talent. And also, last year when we decided to confirm him for our team, we thought that he could have been the leader rider. And while we grow up high, Ogura, she has a great potential as well. And so he's a great talent. He only needs to believe in himself, be concentrated on the work, try to find the working system, how to work in a garage, giving important to the important things, to be concentrated and focus on what it counts and stuff like that. And the beginning of this season has been quite tough. We were struggling to score points, and but then kept talking and trying to see what we can improve. He also worked a lot during the winter on his physical preparation, which was a little bit lacking last year. So little by little, then we started in Le Mans to be in a top 10 position. We kind of kept for many races in that, and we started to say, let's try to get in the top 7, and he jumps suddenly on a podium in these last 2 weekends. So anyway, I'm happy because he can show his talent, and also today he showed how he can be also intelligent, good on managing races, and I think he's a guy that he came here very excited after Mandalika, the podium, and so he probably grow up the confidence with these days, no? This help him to get confidence on himself. And
the world's media all want a piece of you, so we'll be told to let you go. So we're going to let you go, but many congratulations, Davide, and enjoy the celebrations all the way to Malaysia.
Congrats, Davide. Well done.
Davide Brivio, team manager of Trackhouse Aprilia, and one achievement that they have notched up today, which deserves mentioning, is that every MotoGP on the grid, all 11 now, MotoGP.
Yeah, which is just an unbelievable stat, isn't it? That every single team up and down the MotoGP grid has tasted success, even in their infancy, even just into their second year. Trackhouse have been able to pull that off, proves the competitiveness of the sport. And after a couple of years where Ducati have dominated, you just look at the lap times, the timesheets from last year where it was all about Ducati. has that changed? Those concession rules which have gone into are working. Honda are rising. Yamaha, although they've had a good day today, are rising. And Prix definitely are as close to Ducati as ever been. ATM for Pedro Costa to take get at the closer.
2 long laps proved just too much in the end for Marco Bezzecchi, but still a fine podium to him now to lap.
It has been an incredible weekend here in Australia for Aprilia and for Marco Bezzecchi. First and second with you and Ralph Fernandez in the sprint yesterday, Marco. You always knew it was going to be a tough challenge today to win the Grand Prix with those 2 long laps, but boy, did you put up an incredible fight. You gave your maximum out there today. How happy are you to still rescue the podium?
Yes.
I'm very happy. Yes, resume perfectly my... No, I mean, to be honest, I didn't even hope for the win. I knew that it would be too stressful. But I didn't expect also the podium, to be honest. What I knew was that we tried to plan a strategy and with my boys, and I have to say that they have been fantastic. The strategy worked perfectly. Of course, the start was super important to do it well. But yeah, amazing. Then when I saw how the race was going, I expected to be able to make 4th as a maximum result because I lost a bit of time with Pedro and he's strong in braking. But then when I passed him and I pushed to escape and to secure this 4th place, I saw that Alex was a bit in trouble and I said, okay, let's try to give everything, and at the end, if I will be able, I try to pass. If not, I will be close. We will see. So very, very happy.
Talk us through the plan. You obviously sat down with the team. You had long discussions about what would be the best strategy with the 2 long laps. So talk us through how you did plan it out in your mind before the race and how well you executed it.
Well, to be completely honest with you, I didn't plan anything because my guys didn't want to put in the position to have so many thoughts in my mind, and already during a weekend you have to think about many things, riding, electronics, and try to be at your best shape that day. And I wasn't, because also I'm still hurt on my back, so they planned this strategy, and my job was to try to start in the best way possible and push a lot to try to have a small gap to, at least after the first long lap, don't finish in the big group. So fortunately my start was super good, and I tried my all to make a gap, and this for sure helped for the penalty, but compromised a little bit my mid-race pace because I couldn't do anything more with the tire.
3rd place in the Grand Prix, now 3rd place in the World Championship. You really have been so impressive in these last few Grand Prix, Marco. It's been a great weekend, as mentioned, for Aprilia, with you first and second with Raul yesterday. Raul taking his first Grand Prix win today. A lot of people now are saying, despite the success of Marc, that Aprilia is the best bike on the grid right now. Would you agree with that?
For me, yes. I mean, it's my bike for sure. I cannot make a comparison with the other bikes. It's impossible, of course. The level that they showed from many years to now, it's been amazing, and it's still amazing. I don't want to be too ambitious. So let's say that for me, for sure, is my best bike. I love my bike, and hopefully we can continue in this way. We will work hard, and we will see. I don't want to make any comparison.
We love watching you on that bike as well, Marco. Fantastic weekend, the sprint win, and a great fight back to 3rd place in the Grand Prix. Well done, Marco. Rest up for Sepang.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, what you can say, I guess, with certainty now is that any Marquez less MotoGP, Aprilia clearly had the advantage. Of course, Bez was a very close second to Marc Marquez in Misano just before the flyaway started, and Aprilia have won the 2 flyaways recently rather comfortably, or they won the sprint at least in Indonesia. They didn't win the Grand Prix, of course, because of Bezzecchi's incident, which then led across to here. But how have they got themselves into such a strong position? Because you can't exactly say that they were static at Ducati's heels when the season began.
No, it's those mid-season changes which have really elevated Aprilia's level. In particular, at the start of the season, they were complaining about stability under braking, introduced some pretty radically different rear aero, a slightly new ride height device as well, and a very, very small tweak to the chassis. and that has allowed them from that point onwards to really raise the level. And that all comes down to the work of Fabiano Sterlachini. He was brought in at the start of the season to replace Romano Albesiano. Let's not forget, Sterlachini was a man that was surplus to requirements at KTM. Ever since that move, it feels like KTM have stagnated and Aprilia have overtaken them and are way beyond where KTM are at now. I mean, Pedro Acosta must be seething at the fact that in the space of 2 weeks, Fermin Aldeguer and Ralph Fernandez, two men that I'm sure he looks at and compares himself alongside, similar age, similar nationality, has come through the ranks alongside him, have managed to beat him in the MotoGP race. And Costa, although he probably won't admit it, well, everybody's liking the bravado he's got, probably will admit that he feels he's a better rider than both of them. He feels he should be fighting for MotoGP race victory. So, big question marks over the decisions made at KTM, which seem them in the position they're at now where they're struggling to fight for victories. I mean, just look at the long races. The trend is saying over recent weeks that you just retire to the end. The other manufacturers are looking after it far better, whereas Aprilia, and a lot down to the work of Fabiano Sterlachini, have got themselves a World Championship contending motorcycle. You can't doubt that. Going into next year, looking at the form book since the turn of the mid-season, they're going to be really putting Ducati under all sorts of pressure. They need Jorge Martin fit, because they're going to need the pair of them, both Marco and Jorge, to be firing on all cylinders. If they are, with a full pre-season, you're going to be worried going into next year, because these guys here in black are serious.
You referenced Pedro Acosta there. He finished 5th in the end today, behind Bezzecchi and Alex Marquez, who took 4th. Alex Marquez didn't clinch second in the championship today, but probably will in the sprint in 6 days' time in Sepang. Pedro Acosta once again demonstrating his powers of defence and just how tenacious he is, but not even Pedro Acosta could hold that torrent back today.
No, Acosta is eking every last second out of that KTM at the moment. You cannot deny that, but right now, that is the maximum, and it's not going to change up until the end of the season. It's going to take some big changes over pre-season, where, yes, there was a lot of turbulence during the pre-season this time around. Let's hope with a little bit more settled winter, KTM can find something to allow Pedro to fight for victories.
Well, Aprilia Racing CEO Massimo Rivola joins us. We'll talk about Marco in just a moment, but how much pride do Aprilia take from launching another new MotoGP winner today in the form of Ralph Fernandez?
300. This is the 300th victory for Aprilia in Moto Mondiale. Good that it's coming from a guy that we believed on him, and he finally delivered. I think that after the test in Aragon, he started being very fast, and I'm very happy that today in a track like that he made it. But Marco did something really special. Especially think about not just the race of today, but what he was carrying from the mistake of Indonesia. So recovering so many places, having the 2 long laps in such a narrow route to do, so it was just fantastic.
I want to ask on 2 things, Massimo. Firstly, we were just speaking about the work of Fabiano Sterlachini, the progress that the bike has made throughout the season has got it to a point now where we've had 2 bikes on the podium in 3 of the last 4 races. Just talk to us about the job he's done to bring to Aprilia to the level that they're at now.
Yeah, Fabiano is doing a really great job. He's really committed. He sees the opportunity, but I'm not a fan of the one-man show, so I would prefer to congratulate to all the people in Noale and here on track that is following Fabiano through. And yeah, many areas improve. Many areas improve. But you know, at this level, it's never enough. So today we came here. Clearly we were fast, very fast with the bike, and in Indonesia too. We will go to Sepang, and maybe I don't want to say we are lost, but it's gonna be different. So the gaps are so narrow, so small that you cannot really even enjoy too much. Today is another day, and we need to prepare Sepang quite the best way.
And secondly, now 3rd in the World Championship. I saw a quote when you were speaking to Sky Italy during the break in between here and Indonesia, where you said, we're ready to fight for a World Championship next year. Both you, Marco and Jorge when you have a full pre-season, how ready are you to challenge Ducati and Marc Marquez?
I think that is our target. It must be our target, and we cannot hide that we are happy to win one race or two in the season. I mean, we have all the potential. We have everything to win, and we have everything to fight for the victory. We have the riders. We will have Jorge back. As you said, we need the proper pre-season. No, Jorge needs to do that. Obviously, Marco will start with the season on the shoulder, so that will be big experience for him. But Jorge needs to learn to be patient and to work on that. But it's good also to count on a strong satellite team. I'm really happy that Raul now is there, and I'm very confident that Ayogura will come, because every time we see the progress from Friday to Sunday. Sunday is always the day where he's the fastest with himself. I mean, so next year Aprilia, I think, can be strong. Obviously, we don't know where the other will be, but according to what we are doing and the way we are working, I think they will be part of the game.
Fly starting to attack us here now in the paddock, and some rain starting to fall on our heads, so we'll let you go inside, Massimo, but many congratulations to all of Aprilia for the job that's been done today. Let's hear from your winner, the Australian Grand Prix winner, Raul Fernandez. He's giving his reaction to Matt.
Cool. Well, what a weekend that has been here in Phillip Island for Trackhouse Aprilia's Raul Fernandez. Raul, congratulations. I've got one thing to say to you. You are a MotoGP race winner. How does that feel?
I cannot believe. Still, I cannot believe that we get the victory. Still, we had a lot of work to do. Still, I am thinking how many times we spent work to come here and to get this result. And still, I believe that I have one of the best teams in the world, because they never stop to believe me. They never. When I come, when you come to the boss and you have some problem, I never see his face with some question. I mean, it is something that in the difficult moment you feel that we are a family. In the difficult moment, you know that Aprilia support even more me. So yeah, I am very happy. It means that the team make a super good job. At the beginning of the season, we had a lot of problems. My family, especially my brother, helped to me in a lot of difficult situations. But anyway, yes, I can say that thanks to them, I get my first MotoGP victory.
You just talked about the support, the belief, the trust that Trackhouse have given you.
Raul Fernandez will be speaking again shortly in the press conference, so if you want more reaction from our winner, you'll have that shortly. My thanks to Jack. Thanks to all of you for joining us here in Australia. We're heading across now to Malaysia, Sepang, for round 20 of the season next weekend. We look forward to your company there. Today, though, the log Trackhouse and Raul Fernandez, MotoGP's newest pick.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sunday post-race press conference here at Phillip Island at the end of the Liqui Moly Australian Grand Prix in 2025. We're joined by our top three on the podium. What a day to remember for Raul Fernandez and the Trackhouse MotoGP, a first-time winner in the Premier Class, 7th different winner this season in MotoGP, 5 different winners now in the last 5 Grand Prix. It's turning out to be a pretty incredible end to 2025. Congratulations to you, Raul. Second place, after a real hard fight through 10th place on the grid, is Fabio Di Gianantonio, riding for the 30 million Enduro VR46 racing team. And it was another fantastic ride once again by Marco Bezzecchi, riding for the Aprilia Racing. By Marco, the winner in the sprint yesterday, and despite those 2 long laps in that 27-lap Australian Grand Prix, somehow still fought his way back through to a fantastic third place. Gentlemen, well done to all three of you. We'll start the press conference first of all with you, Raul. Huge congratulations, an incredible special day for you and the team. You are a MotoGP winner for the very first time. Not an easy race to manage in those windy conditions, but you have done it. How do you feel?
I don't believe it.
Yesterday when I saw the sprint, Marco had an amazing pace. Also DJ in the last part of the sprint have a really good pace. This morning when I had a meeting with the team, we found that fight for the podium was an unrealistic position, but I never found that we had the choice to get the victory. Anyway, I am really happy for me, for my team, but for my family and for my brother, because he always supports me. Today we had a very difficult condition, especially the last part of the race with the wind, but anyway I tried to manage. I tried to warm up well the rear tire, and after that when I overtook Pedro and I saw that I had a very similar pace than Marco, I say, okay, maybe it's the day, but you don't need to make a mistake. And in that moment I just try to be focused on me, try to don't think a lot, and try to enjoy the moment. That's it. What I did. In the last 4 laps, I tried to don't make a mistake, but I removed the stop and I couldn't take again the handlebar. And also, it's helped to me to say, okay, at least you don't win, you need to be calm, you want to get the victory. And I try to be even more relaxed, but in the last lap, in the last sector, I start to cry on the helmet, and yeah, I am very happy for House, but also for Aprilia, because the 300 victory for them, so yeah. Congratulations to you.
Fourth different rider to win. For Aprilia, of course, the latest Fargo, Maverick Vinales and Marco Bezzecchi alongside you. First time two Aprilias on a Sunday podium, Catalunya 2023. You just talked about those last 4 laps, well, I guess at times it felt like 4 years. How did you feel when you crossed the line? How did you manage the end of the race?
It was difficult, but I tried to. In the dashboard, we have the sector. Just don't make a big mistake and try to be constant. It's true that the last 3-4 laps I have a big drop of the tire and I just try to survive out. But for me the more difficult thing was when I ended for 10 and I make the last sector, I start to cry, and for the last lap that I made, I was all the lap crying because this morning I never thought that was the day to get the victory.
Well, congratulations to you, Aprilia and to Trackhouse as well on a wonderful day here in Australia. An excellent day as well for Fertamina Enduro VR46 Racing. You know how much Fabio Di Antonio loves Phillip Island after 2023, and also a big battle for the podium here last year. Fabio, I think you've been a bit under the weather, a bit ill so far this weekend, so today's podium was the perfect pick-me-up.
Yeah, for sure. Did an amazing job, I think, last week, the preparation of the weekend, because the team did a lot of analysis and study and understood what could be the best package for us to race with here. And yeah, that was the key to make this kind of performance. Bittersweet feeling, because we know that we ruined a little bit our chances to make a possible podium or a win after qualifying, but it was out of control, so it was like this. And yeah, for sure the fever didn't help at all. Yesterday night I was really sick. I went at my house here, well, not mine, but at ours here. I'm still not that rich. I went out quite early because I was feeling so bad, and yeah, I had to make the job done. We did an amazing race. I'm super happy, super proud about the overtakes, because it was not easy. Started from P10. Yeah, proud of the team, proud of the performance, and happy.
Maybe you can buy the house with your podium bonus now, Fabio. You made, as you say, so many.
I need to negotiate a little bit, because it's not close yet.
As mentioned, starting from the 4th, going 10th place, it's not easy to make overtakes. You made so many of them. Which one do you feel was the best? Who was the toughest to get through?
Well, you know that when I have this kind of problem, that when I do the race, in the short time, I never remember everything. Like some things, it means that you do by instinct. You know, yeah, so I don't remember every overtake. Maybe the one with Pedro, because I didn't expect him to overtake me in turn number 1, and I jumped back inside on the turn number 2. It's not easy at all to make it there. But also the overtakes that I've done in turn 8, is another big balls corner. So these two are my favorite.
Fantastic move you made on Fabio Quartararo in that corner. Marco himself also made some pretty good moves in that turn. We saw Chris Evans with Casino as well. Maybe a lucky mascot for the team. Maybe you can bring him to Japan next week as well.
Definitely, I was feeling the Avenger feeling. You know, I was like a superhero with him in the garage. It's been great to meet him. Great to have him in the garage. He's a super nice and humble person. So it was definitely an extra motivation to make it special this week.
Fabio, great to see you back on the podium here once again. Phillip Island completing today's top three then is Marco Bezzecchi. Marco, it was always going to be a tough race, a big challenge for you to win with the two long laps, but you put up an incredible fight. You dropped back to sixth at one stage, fought your way back inside that top three. I mean, it must not a win, it must feel pretty close to it, given all the circumstances you had to deal with.
Yeah, it has been nice. Super tough because, as you said, I never thought honestly about the victory. Journalist thought about it. But yeah, you. But I didn't even expect the podiums. This was my best hit part in the moment that I did the first long lap. Who don't finish inside the pack, you know? And my strategy fortunately worked well. To be completely honest, it was the strategy from my team, not me. And then after the second long lap, fortunately I was only sixth, so better than I expected. But having pushed so much in the beginning, I couldn't stress more the tires if I was going to be dead in the last laps. So yeah, super happy when I fought with Pedro. I thought that fourth was the maximum. It's super hard to overtake him, so I said, okay, that's it. Let's try to escape from him and secure this fourth place. But then I saw that also with Alex I was catching him, so let's continue pushing, and at least I tried.
Of course, today's result means you are now third in the World Championship, moving ahead of Pecco Bagnaia. Taking nothing away from Raul, do you think without the two long laps, it was clearly, like it was in the sprint yesterday, going to be a battle between you two, because it seemed like Aprilia and you and Raul have been that little step ahead of everybody else this weekend?
Well, it's impossible to say it, because at the end I did the race with the two long laps, of course. I don't know, because Raul was good, and then I felt good also with the bike. They are Aprilia, all the Aprilia factory working an amazing race. So let's say that it's okay like this.
Fantastic weekend, as you mentioned, for Aprilia. That's enough from me, Raul, Fabio and Marco. Congratulations once again on your fantastic podium. We'll take questions, please, now from the media. Thank you.
So you've already reminded me of lecturing 2 years ago. How hard has the last 2 years been to maintain the confidence that you can do this?
Yeah, you know, it was very good. But the good thing is I feel that I have a really people around me. And also the last year when I decided to stay on the team, I think I had the best choice to keep in here with a factory bike, and it helped me a lot to remove the pressure, to stay focused on myself, try to work in my way, and I think it was the key. After a very difficult year, I get again in a victory position. Still, I don't believe it, but if I have to say something, is I am here for my family and for my brother, because he always helped to me. Also, the team helped to me a lot, but he's the more important people in my life, and when I have very difficult situation, he always support me.
Grazie Ercoles, Dario e Sangre Nasera, questo Marco. So much say that in this moment the Aprilia is at the level of Ducati. It's only by the last two very well for you.
I don't know. I mean, for me, it's impossible to make a comparison. I don't ride that rider, but what it is that the engineers are on the top. And to be honest, we've been quite consistent. Of course, there are tracks where the characteristics of the bike are. There are other tracks where the bike isn't really super good, but everyone a bit more close, and we have to try to work more. So I don't know to answer you in a specific way, but I think that we are making steps forward.
I deleted the activities from MotoGP Greece. A question from Marco. Second from lap seems times that it was slower than the first one. Perhaps some tire short. Just make it slower. Then how when do that and be all pace not
Well, the second long lap, to be honest, I tried my best like in the first one, so I don't know. I think that I wanted to be fast, of course, but also that's the dream and up again. So I kept myself a couple of instead of then yeah, I tried to manage. First of all, I had to make the tire break a bit, a decision, go down, what I had to do. But then when I realized that I was not losing time managing, I said, okay, try to be patient, and if it's possible at the end, let's try to be.
Raul, in the beginning of the championship, weren't at in last part. But what changed?
I say a lot of time, the big change, the red face, had a lot of time to work. I think I make a very big mistake at the beginning of the season when I crash in Japan. I come backwards quite quick. It doesn't help to create the bike setup. So for me, basically the big change is we had some tests in the middle of the season, but we had time to work on ourselves. We found something that helped me fight better.
Fabio, I think that GP25 better on practice than Alex for attack.
I've always been a good tire manager actually. So I did many races coming back and managing well the tires. So I think even with whatever bike I was using today, maybe the result was the same. Again, GP25, 24, in our cases, they are just names that we had to make, you know, at the beginning of the year, the name of the bike. When you are a factory rider, you have just a lot of pieces with a lot of codes, and you just try to make the bike the best package possible to push and go fast. So our bike was just, it was not 25, 24, 26, 23, whatever. It's just the best bike that Ducati gives me to go fast, and in my case, I'm also able to manage well the tires. So I don't think that the model year of the bike would change something today.
Only question for you, Marco. Could you tell us a bit how the bike has improved since the beginning of the season? Where were the steps you have done, and what you still need, in your opinion, to improve the bike, and what the bike is doing?
Well, the bike improved a bit. Aspect riding, of course, still need to work on many of them because Yeah, some tracks we are super good, but some tracks we still need to improve. But at least we are more consistent now. The bike is, I enjoy. I ride the bike and the stability improved. That was the biggest issue for me at the beginning. And this gave me the confidence to finally be back on braking as I was a couple of years ago. So I think that this for me was the best thing.
For Morrison, question for Raul and for Fabio. Raul, yesterday we saw you fighting with Bezzecchi ahead of everyone else in the sprint race. Marco doing the double long lap today. Obviously a lot of expectation on your shoulders. How did you manage that expectation? Was it quite difficult to remain calm for the race?
I know that he had a double long lap make today, but I still found that he had a pace to come back. So to be honest, I don't think too much on the victory. I just thinking trying to get my first podium. But the moment when I see that the victory we had the choice to fight for the victory was when I overtake Pedro, and I have a very similar pace than Marco. In that moment, I say, okay, he has to make double long lap, sorry. Maybe here we can have a gap, and maybe with this gap he cannot come back. But anyway, I just trying to focus on me and don't make a mistake. It helped me a lot.
Thank you. Fabio, some of the other Ducati riders have been struggling a lot with stability, just any Echo in particular. Just curious, is this an issue that you were having, and if so, how did you adapt to it? How did you overcome it?
I kind of moved a lot, actually. I don't know about the others. It was not in their bikes, but in my case, for sure, we started the week with the bike moving a lot. But then I was able to fast anyway. Then I spoke a lot of times with my coach, and they always say, in Phillip, the bike has to move. If it's not moving, you are not going fast. So it's a thing that you keep in mind, and when it moves, you say, okay, maybe I'm going fast enough. So, you know, sometimes, for sure, the stability of the bike is super important, but when the conditions are like this, more or less for everybody, you need to handle the situation as best as possible. Like other times, maybe the bump, so, you know, every time track condition changes, and I think we've just been the best, maybe Ducati, to adapt, the best rider, the best team, the best Ducati to adapt to.
That is still that is the best bike of the
Really difficult question. I think definitely our competitors are working in a great way. We saw that every manufacturer is closing the gap with us. We knew that Ducati had a big gap with the other manufacturers, but now Aprilia is more and more closer, or even ahead of us. Honda is coming closer. Yamaha, as we saw, Quartararo did I don't know how many pole positions this year, 5. So for sure we have to work. For sure the work that we've done this year could have done better, but part of racing is part of the game. We are a big team. I would say that we are a big team in VR and Ducati, and we are working so hard to make our bike always better and better and better. I just can't wait to start to work on the 26 bike to see if we can improve and hit a little gap with the others.
Well, congratulations once again on your first MotoGP victory here in Phillip Island. Well done as well to Fabio and to Marco on your top threes. We'll see you guys in Sepang in a few days' time. Congratulations once again.